Good morning. Jesus. Good morning. Good
Hey, I'm telling
afternoon.
you, I've got it right.
Good evening.
Good morning. Good evening.
Good morning,
How
good
are
afternoon,
you?
good evening, whatever it might be, wherever it is you are. Happy time zone to everybody.
Yes.
So we're back from Friday. We've, I think we finally figured out ASP.NET authentication, at least for this time, because it's different every time you do it. And if
That's
you're
a
using,
bold statement.
if you're doing a point, if you get update to a point release of ASP.NET Core, it's different. So don't get too excited, but at least it'll work. We know with our specific versions. Yeah, my camera's still broken. I tried it again this morning. It was still all jittery. I guess I could just leave it jittery for the whole day, but I don't know. I'm just saying. And thanks for rating, Fritz. Bringing over 100 and some people. That was awesome. So we were just getting started, and we saw that, and Christo said, "Well, you better click the go button." So I guess we're here.
Time to go, man.
I still haven't reset my machine. I'm way overdue. But if I could get a day to do it, then I would do it. I just don't have any time. So what are you gonna do?
You had 2 days.
Well, I've got a family I have to deal with too. So what can I do? I can't say, "Hey, son, do you want to?" It's not like
It's a family exercise. Let's do it all together.
it's not
Rather
like
than playing.
I had to tell my 7-year-old, "Hey, come help me reformat my machine." He's like, "I want to build a birdhouse, Daddy. I don't care about your computer."
Well, you could build birdhouses like the ones on my Bing image of the day. Look how cute they are.
We
You
did
see,
build a
that's the
birdhouse.
type of birdhouse. Did it look like these?
No, and oddly enough, and I don't know if they're related, but about half an hour ago, my wife yelled from upstairs, and I ran upstairs, and there's a dead bird on our front porch. I don't know where it came from.
Oh.
So I don't know if it's because of the birdhouse, or if it's something different, or what. But yeah, I don't know. It was pretty gross though, pretty grim. I think it may have actually flown into the window of the house, because that would explain the giant, what sounded like a tennis ball flying into the window yesterday. I think that may be what it was, but anyway. All right, so we're back. We're back. Layla again with us here, so we can get her app sorted. And
Yeah, you're gluttons for punishment, aren't you? Having me back.
Well, we're so close on
Two streams in a
Friday.
row.
If we only had half an hour more, I think we would have done it. But today, we get the opportunity to do it at a nice pace and show people how you can do ASP.NET with Azure AD B2C and Twilio for two-factor authentication, which is super exciting. All of them. All the
Yay,
technologies.
all the things.
All the things.
Yep. So I guess I'm going to try my video again. No idea how long it's going to take.
Uh-oh.
So here's the thing. So after Friday, I walked away for a little bit, and we thought. And the thing is, I think, well, as with most things, we're overthinking it, right? So Microsoft.identity.web, which is a library that we moved over to last week. That library has two sets of controllers and pages. So there's a set of controllers, there's a set of pages that handle login, log out. They handle partial views, all that sort of stuff. And so the problem that we were having is that we weren't sure if we needed Razor pages at all, or if we did, and of course we do. But luckily, we can simplify our startup fairly considerably, and get everything working. Now the other thing is the cookie error that you were getting about the ASP.NET correlation cookie. So far, the only way I can figure out to get that sorted is for you to use HTTPS. And I seem to remember there was a problem with that when you were first working on this. That there was a problem getting HTTPS working with local dev. But maybe I'm misremembering.
We can try it. I think we need to go. I probably fiddled with my launch settings. Yes, I have. So we could go and because I couldn't get it working, I took out SSL here, but we could try and put it back in and see what happens.
Okay.
So you do have a local SSL, right?
It will prompt me if I don't, but I think I do now because I've done it elsewhere. So we'll see.
Cool.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, there's a command we can run too that'll force install those. So if it still doesn't work, then we'll do that. Now I'll have to make a couple changes. So beyond having a new application URI for HTTPS, we'll also need to make sure that new URI is in our B2C tenant too.
So
Correct.
where did we get to on Friday? Because let's just have a quick think. We set up all of this, didn't we?
Mhm.
And
Yep.
we got
Yes.
all the data out of here.
Correct.
And we set up flows and tested those. But then when we came, I've got desktop set up today. Look at me, whizzy, whizzy, whizzy. So I can hear myself. One of you has me coming out loud. And I'm betting it's you, JP. I can hear myself.
Hang on. How about now? I don't know what to do. I don't know how to stop it.
Never mind. I'll zone it out of my head.
If you start talking slower, we'll know what happened.
Okay. I can talk more slowly. Is that better?
No, I don't know what it is. I thought I had everything turned off, but apparently
Oh,
maybe
we'll
I
be
don't.
all right. I'll tune it out. I'll think it's like a little telly on in the background, so it's fine. Unless it's me. Maybe I have like me playing somewhere. Who knows? Let me check. Maybe it's me. One quick. Do I have me playing somewhere?
Are you? I thought I turned off audio on my screen share back to you, but maybe I didn't.
Well, we'll be all
Anyway.
right. We'll go. All right. So then what we did was delete all. We deleted the areas, didn't we? Because when you install ASP.NET Core Identity you scaffold it out, we get this whole areas, don't we? And we deleted that. We just threw caution to the wind and deleted it.
Yep.
And then we were having problems with this login partial because this was using Identity Manager, and this also was two-factor authentication. And then we were messing around, I think, in the startup, not knowing what to add or what to remove. And we weren't sure about this, were we? And that's where we got to. Is that right?
Yep.
Yep.
So I have
Alright.
the fixes for login partial, and the problem is that we were using pages when we should have been using controllers. So the login methods are actually in a controller, not in a page. So we can go fix those first if you want.
Yeah, let's do that. So if I go and look at this, that's not a Razor page. So where were we doing it?
So it's in so we have ASP area, and then in login partial we've got ASP area and we've got ASP page.
Yes.
We actually want those to be ASP controller and
Controller.
and ASP action.
Yep.
Here. Oh gosh, I see what you mean. That's why we weren't getting it to go through, and that's why we hard coded that.
Yep.
And we had
It's a read the
Page.
manual. People,
Yeah.
we went off the reservation and we tried to shortcut it. That's why.
All right.
should be-
So what we're gonna do is go what here. This is gonna be
No, just
controller.
replace the ASP page with controller, ASP controller.
Yeah. And then we
Yeah.
can get rid of the slashes, and then we'll have an ASP action, and the ASP action is sign out.
And yes, good old MVC styly.
Yep.
And so this
Yep.
is sign out, like
Yep.
so.
Yep.
And then,
And then the sign in one at the bottom is pretty much the same.
all right, let's grab that.
Correctamento.
then. Grab that. We'll get rid of this hard-coded. Let's just see if we can get it to work. And we want sign in.
Sign in. Yep.
Alrighty.
Okay.
We were rushing. You were going, we need to be off in like 3 minutes. And we were like, oh my God.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. So, okay, cool. So that's squared away. We've got some other changes we can make to that later on. Now, the other thing is back in our startup. So we had a bunch of questions about startup and what we should do in startup and all that sort of stuff. So let's go back over there, and I think we're going to be able to simplify.
Alrighty.
Simplify a little bit. So, so we've got in our configure services method, we have all the pieces that you need: SendGrid, Twilio, Verify, blah blah blah. We've got our database, and then our add authentication. We've got that. So we've got two ways we can look at this. One, we can add the scheme into the add authentication thing, right? Or the other one is we can take that out and make it a one-liner. For the purposes of today, I say we use the scheme, and that way we'll register the scheme correctly and don't have to worry about something else popping up. So in our add authentication method on 41, when we're just adding authentication, we're not actually setting a scheme. And the scheme is sort of the scheme is a way to say, well, I'm configuring OpenID, or I'm configuring cookie, or I'm configuring something. And so you can have all these named schemes. And those named schemes are what drive which one you're going to use at different points. And so you have the option to have many, so that you can say, oh, well, maybe you can only access this page if you used scheme ABC, or you can, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So the only thing we need to add there is in the add authentication method, we need to add OpenID Connect defaults.
In here?
Mm-hmm.
Is there, where's the documentation on this, JP? Is there a link to it?
You're breaking up. No.
Documentation for JP? No, he just knows it. He's the documentation.
No.
He never Googles for things. I don't know how this guy works, but like, how do you know these things? It's like, I know them.
No, there is.
JP is the documentation. Exactly, Bolt. He is the documentation.
No, there is some documentation somewhere. I think it's sort of littered throughout, right? So it's available in.
I can't talk.
It's all over the place. It's on our.
I need a using.
It's on our list of things to do is to make the documentation better. So.
Okay.
Or make JP better. Just we'll give everyone a JP in their office, and then it will be problem solved. Honestly,
We've lost JP.
I work with
He's
this guy
gone.
every day. It's just frustrating. How the hell do you know all these things?
We were talking about this right before we started, which was some way to clone ourselves because I live next to a nuclear cooling pool, and so maybe if I just go swim in the lake enough, and more of me will start to come out.
Oh my god.
I don't know if they'll all look. I don't know if they'll all look the same, but that may not be a bad thing either.
Caparino is saying, haha, why should we hire you? They're like, I am the documentation.
I can't talk.
Maybe.
Oh my god, my face hurts.
Maybe that's what's wrong with my camera. Is there too many? I'm getting too many nuclear ions pounding my camera and it's breaking it. So. No, there's documentation on this, but it's not part of the Azure AD documentation because I guess technically it's not Azure AD documentation. It is it's ASP.NET authentication documentation.
Yep.
All
so
right.
it's an ASP.NET identity, and it's lowercase d and OpenID, which I guess is OpenID, not in defaults.
Oh, okay, right. Hang on. So OpenID, then what? Dot.
Or lowercase d.
Oh, okay. Oh, I lowercase d in ID. Okay, yes.
Yep. OpenID Connect defaults.
Connect. Oh my god.
Dot authentication scheme.
Dot authentication stream. Did you say?
Scheme.
Scheme.
Yeah.
You see, you've totally thrown me. I'm going to be like dumb for the rest of the day now. Let's see. We have using. There we go.
Good.
Okay.
Okay.
Hurrah!
So that gets us squared away there, and then we got to go look at our Razor pages. So you had a bunch of Razor pages stuff in there. Luckily, we don't need any of it. So after add controllers with views.
All right, down lower.
Which is lower, yeah. I think so. We can get rid of all of that. Razor pages.
All
stuff.
of that, like here from add MVC, and then do we want set compatibility version?
I don't think we
that
need
was
to set
do with
compat.
Razor.
Do we need to set?
No,
I don't think we need to. I don't even think we need to add MVC here explicitly.
Oh, this is an MVC project, so.
But isn't that what add controllers with views is doing?
Oh gosh, I think you still need to add MVC.
Okay,
Don't
okay.
ask me. I only
mean-
follow like the million changes that happen every week.
I mean, I don't. Well, obviously we don't either. So, otherwise we would have been done Friday. But no. So I'll say this much: I don't have it in mind.
You don't have it in your... Okay.
I don't have it in my version.
Let's do that.
And then
I mean, we worked with the mode of elimination on Friday.
Yeah. So
removing everything, right?
Yeah, it's sort of like everything has to be in the right order, and if it's not in the right order, and it's not the right thing doesn't get overridden at the right time, it just it stops working. Anyway, so the other thing we need to do, so we need Razor Pages.
Oh, we do.
But not there.
Is it still using?
We want to do it after. I mean, I guess we could do them in either place, but we want our Add Microsoft Identity UI to hang off of Razor Pages. And we want it to happen last so everything gets picked up. Okay, good. Okay, so that's good. We don't have any authorization methods yet, but that's okay because we're going to come back to those. And then the last thing we need to do, of course, is Razor Pages map endpoints at the bottom and configure.
Down here?
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's happening?
A little bit further. In the use endpoints. Okay, we've already got map Razor Pages, so that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now let's go look at your controllers.
All right, so I'll save this one. And I did have, let's maybe use controllers.
Hazy Wildfire is trolling us. Is this the new Kubernetes without Docker environment?
No, because this will eventually work. It's a big difference.
Oh, snap.
Oh my goodness.
So
Snap. Fire shot this morning.
Stop it.
okay. So we've got an authorized tag on our thing here. And we do what do we have on your home controller?
Hang
Anything?
on, let's go and have a look. No, there shouldn't be anything because the home controller is open.
Okay, good. Okay, well let's run this. I think we're still going to get the cookie error we got last week, and that's going to be a function of either finding the correct arcane use whatever method that hangs off of something in startup to say, hey, it's okay if you have an HTTP cookie, or we can just make HTTPS work.
Okay.
Which
let's go and
this might be the first time in history somebody said making HTTPS work is going to be easier than writing code to fix it. So, okay.
Why did that take me straight here?
Good point. It shouldn't have. I think right now our default authorization policy is everything. So the whole app is authorized. So in your home controller, let's do an add or allow anonymous attribute at the top of your home controller.
Okay.
Hazy Wildfire is saying Azure AD app proxy makes everything HTTPS, which is correct.
It does. But you have to hire somebody who knows how to use Azure AD App Proxy, which is a lot more expensive than making HTTPS work yourself. Okay, sorry. Caparino, we stream to like 4 different channels at once, and so most of the chat messages you're seeing are coming from the other channel, which is twitch.tv/45show. So that's we see both of them, and we try to interact with everybody, but the featured ones we can only get here. So, okay. Did you get to the page without having it? Didn't auto log you in. Okay, good. Okay, so it worked.
No, I just skipped ahead whilst you were answering Caparino.
Okay, good.
Oh, look at that! Look! We got name. We got name.
Yeah, we got your name.
And
Cool.
Can we go? I can't remember where I'm supposed to go. It's been so
Admin.
long since I looked at this. Is it /? It will be /admin because it's admin controller. Let's go.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, right. Where are
Thanks
we?
for the follow, M1DW1. Midway?
Copper Beardy! Hello, Copper Beardy!
Hey.
Oh my God! We did it! We did it! We did it!
All right, cool. Thanks. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming. We'll see you
ya!
next time.
Yeah. Thanks for the raid. It was a short one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
No, yeah,
That's made me really happy.
Yeah. So the point is now we can. So now we can never touch this code base again, and it should continue to work. But
Forever.
For
eternity.
If we make any other changes, then God help us. But yeah.
Don't.
So okay, cool. So now when you're authorized, you can get to the admin page, and if you're not,
Yeah.
you can get to the home page. Right?
Do you think this is going to work out? No.
no. And let's see. I wonder why. So what's that saying?
Oh, I
Was
just
it
closed it. Sorry.
No, it's okay. We can go back and look.
Now that's because now if we go into startup, we had how I specified the logout and everything was in that bit of code that we just deleted. That was somewhere.
Actually, so the reason why is if you remember Friday, which feels like it was a really long time ago. If you remember on Friday, we had all those different policy names, like
Yes.
our sign in, sign up policy, whatever. I'm not sure if we have a redirect URL specified anywhere for after you log out, which is the first one.
No.
So we probably need to check our settings and see.
Because if I just head on over to here quickly. Oh, God. Just bear with me for a moment. I'm not going to dox myself. It's all good, folks.
I finally found out what docs means this weekend.
Oh, did you dox yourself? Is that why?
No, I read a book. Surprisingly enough,
You read a book?
no, I didn't even
My
know it was a
God,
term. Yeah, not a book specifically on doxing, but it was a hacker book that had that information.
How long has
Yeah.
the term doxed been in common parlance like that?
I
Well,
don't
the book
know.
is fairly old-ish, so it's been a few years at least.
Let's see.
All I know
Immersion
is
in
I
the
was
90s.
the queen of it. So if we go down here, and I
It's
can
been
filter.
around for over a decade. Wow.
Yeah. So what I want to do is just go check out the code in here. I need to change because we can see what we had, which will make more sense to viewers as well. If we go into the startup, we had this stuff here. Is this what we're talking about, JP? All of these?
No.
No.
But so that link that we made, that sign out link that we did in the Razor page. So think about it like this. In ASP.NET Identity, like just ASP.NET Identity, nothing to do with like Azure AD or Okta or Auth0 or any of those sort of external services. In ASP.NET Identity itself, it will scaffold a bunch of those pages for you. So sign out page, sign in page, profile editing, all that sort of stuff. If you're going to do it on your own, if you're going to manage it in your own code. The identity.web library, that Microsoft identity.web library, it has all of those pages baked into it so that you don't have to write them on your own. And it configures which ones are the paths to different things. So my assumption is that we probably just have a config setting somewhere that we have to change, and we'll be good to go.
Okay, so similar to this one. This
It may just be in app settings. I don't actually think we have to make any changes.
Oh.
Make any changes to the code itself. The code itself should be squared away.
Shoot.
famous,
It's a-
famous last words.
Yeah, it's a bit bold, you know. But we'll try it. So let's go over to app settings.json.
All right. I'm just asking a very important question. Is Christos talking about Homeland, the TV series?
No, Homeland, the book from Cory Doctorow.
Oh, okay. I've
Little
just
brother.
started watching Homeland. I was like going to get excited.
Homeland is epic. I loved it, so I highly recommend it as well. I just need to catch up on the last season.
Right, sorry, my chair is falling apart. Sorry. Okay. Oh, I just had a coffee delivery. Thank you. Just good
Where's my coffee
service.
delivery? I feel left out now.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right, where am I going? You
Okay.
said app settings.
Yep. App settings. Okay. So that's
All
signed. All right. So signed out callback path. That's the first one. We need to put something in there, and that's where we want people to go after.
Yes, I remember.
Yep. So maybe for that, maybe we just use like home/home, or even just / just like the root. I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
Yes, that would work because then it would take us to the home/index, which
Yeah.
would just be index, wouldn't it? So
Yeah. And then I think one other thing was in your login partial. There was one extra piece of data that was in there. I don't actually think that we need that piece of data. It was like, I think it's posting some data into that thing in the sign out link.
In the sign out.
Mm-hmm.
This
Yeah.
URL action. Okay.
Yep.
That's the callback being put there, isn't it? So.
Yeah. And we don't actually need it. I think it's because the identity.web controller is not expecting that to be a post.
Okay.
And that's why we were getting that 4 or 5 method not allowed. So let's run it again. Let's see what we get.
Alrighty. Who just rubbed their hands in glee then? Was that you, JP? Like, getting ready, this is gonna work.
Getting ready. We're gonna see if it's gonna work.
I will say that this coffee has come after I've had a whole can of energy drink. As well,
I was going to say, you're going to be buzzing for the rest of the night with all that coffee.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Right, that looks right. So this is good. So we go in here. And then I even remembered the password we made up on Friday.
Nice.
How
There you
good
go.
am I?
I don't even
Wow.
remember
No,
my
I
name,
didn't.
so I am impressed. Who am I this morning? I need to write it down.
What's your t-shirt say today?
My t-shirt says, I am immutable.
Ah, I bet
Feels-
you JP
that
could
feels
make
like
that
a-
go
That
away.
feels like a challenge.
It does, doesn't it?
Well, with OBS in your hands, JP, a lot can happen this morning.
Let's see, what does this mute
right.
and scenes button do? Hey, it worked. See how peaceful it is? Who would have guessed?
Yeah, I'm the noise. Thank you.
That failed.
Okay, what does it say?
It doesn't say
What's
this
it-
page isn't working. That's helpful.
Is it?
It
Is it
goes
a 4 or
to-
5?
It is. I can just. It was so teeny tiny. I didn't notice it at first.
Okay.
It's a 4 or 5.
Sounds like it's trying to post when it should be just getting. So, is there a form? Is that link lock wrapped in a form? I think it might be.
Where? Oh, maybe. Let me go and have a look. Let me stop this. Let's go. It is.
It is.
I just saw
Okay.
it form. It's yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So I could say I could put the method on there, or do you want to leave it as a form?
You can just get rid of the whole form.
Okay. So if I go and grab all of this and put this on the button instead, or make it in, yeah, I can do that on the button. I can make it look like this.
Yeah, it's just an A anyway,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
It is, yeah. Let me go and change that to that. No, not
A
butaton.
butaton.
A butaton? No, we don't want that. Let's get rid of the form. And shift, and let's delete that. I've already copied that, so I'm going to put that in there. And then we just want to make it look pretty. So I'm going to grab the classes from here. And we're going to do that. And there. Okay, let's go. Let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. Alrighty. And oh, I fudged the keyboard.
It's gotten quiet.
Alrighty.
Everybody's serious now. Okay.
Oh no!
Is this logout gonna work?
Dun 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 dun.
Okay, that's good. That's a good start.
It's better.
What does it say?
Redirect URL.
We track these errors automatically, but if the problem persists, feel free to contact us. In the meantime, please try again.
So there should be a proper error message at the bottom.
The request does not contain a URI to redirect the user to post logout. Specify a URI in the post logout redirect URI parameter field.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if we look at it up there in the URL, there's nothing there. All right. Let's go back to your app settings. I'm not sure, is it still blank? Or did we add something there for post logout or signed out callback path? Try adding just / try adding home there. Okay, and we'll
Like
see.
say?
If, yep, and then your A link that you the your anchor you're using to sign out doesn't have anything extra it's sending in anymore, right? Just log out.
No.
Okay.
Sign out, account, Microsoft Identity. That's it. Nothing,
All right,
nothing
cool.
fancy. Let's
All
go.
right. Let's log in and see. And Caparino, you do need an Azure subscription for B2C to work. You do not need to spend any money on it. Because B2C doesn't charge you till you hit 50,000 users, monthly active users. So those are 50,000 people who have logged in with individual accounts. So you can get a free account and use that for B2C.
Yeah, azure.com/free. So Microsoft is azure.microsoft.com or microsoft.azure.com/free. You can set up your free account, and you get over 25 or 30 services for free. By the way. Perpetually, right? And we add a lot more service. Azure AD is part of that as well.
So I'm wondering if maybe I've given you the wrong setting.
No, I wonder if this is one of those funny things where because it's blank in user secrets, it's wiping it out in here.
Oh, really? Would it do that?
Yeah, I've seen that
Yes.
happen before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. You, JP, are going to hide my screen.
Oh yeah, hang on. Remember, it takes me a while because I'm
I know.
fairly slow at this. So. Okay, your screen's hidden. It's hidden.
Is it? Is it really?
Well, yeah,
Okay.
it is.
Okay, I'm checking because I can't see. Let's go. Okay, so otherwise I'm going to dox myself royally right now. Okay, so folks, I'm going into manage my user secrets, and I'm going to just put everything that we don't have in here. So we've got the sign up, we've got the call. So signed call back path. So I'll try. Do you want slash or slash home?
Let's do /home just to make sure nothing's getting booted out of there.
Bolt IO, don't say things like that. That's mean.
What did he say?
I can't believe those are your secrets.
Well, they're all Hunter too, anyway, right? You just don't want to tell us.
Okay, we're good. You can show my screen again.
Let's see. Let me find the button to do that. That one. That one.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right.
Hurrah. Okay.
So
Let's see.
did you have to like add it as a user secret or something?
So I have user secrets for everything, and then but it was just an empty string for that particular one. And what it will do, I forgot, is it's going to overwrite what's in the app settings.
Oh, I see. Okay. Because there were
yeah.
other ones in there that weren't secrets that seemed to be fine. So I thought it
Because
was
they were
automatic.
duplicated. So
Oh.
they were in the user secrets as well. But because we updated this one today, I didn't add it into user secrets.
No. Oh, and then Caparino, your question, yeah. Identity Server 4 was never a Microsoft offering. It was just a community project. Nice, now it's working. So that community
Yes.
project was, when it went commercial, it changed, I guess, it changed some things, but I don't really know what the fallout's going to be in terms of if it's still going to be included as you know, kind of a default option or a go-to option in Visual Studio. Like, we don't really know. We don't really have visibility into what that's going to look like on the .NET side, but it was more for running your own identity system. So if you had an identity, if you wanted to run your own identity system database with, you know, a more sort of full-featured identity server, kind of like if you wanted to run your own Azure AD-esque thing or your own Okta-esque thing in your app, that's what Identity Server was for doing, was for building that kind of a system. Otherwise, if you just need to sign in users, there's, of course, regular ASP.NET Identity. There are things like Azure AD and B2C, which we're looking at today, and then all the other commercial ones, Okta, all the service ones, Okta and Auth0 and all those different ones. So they're a little bit different, I guess, in terms of what they do. Identity Server is all about sort of enlightening your app with that kind of functionality. So there's definitely some difference there.
That's a nice one from Cecile. He says there's OpenID Dict, which is an interesting free non-cloud project alternative for Identity Server 4.
Yeah, yeah, that one seems to be getting a whole lot of attention and a whole lot of interest. So so that's a cool one. There are there are other token services out there too. A lot of it depends on how much work you want to do as the developer. How much do you want to own that and be an IDE developer, and how much do you want to ship your app and do the things that you need your app to do? So,
Yep.
okay. So what now? What do we want to do? Do we want to do MFA?
Yeah, so we've now just broken my MFA because what we used to do, if I go back into Startup, we can see that I have a service called, I'm registering this Verify service. And that used to link into the Razor Pages library, which is no longer there. So if we go look at this service, so Verify is a Twilio API, and it is for verifying two-factor authentication via SMS. And so basically what we do is go in, we give some details over to Verify, we make a call via to the API, and we say, here's the user's number and here's my ID, and it will send that person a text message. And then once they enter the token, we would then go and say, hey, is this the right token? Is that right? Should we let them in? And then that was that. So now this is not in there, but you said we can add it by a custom policy. Is that right, JP?
That's right. So,
Whoop, whoop.
I hope you. I hope everybody here today. You know, in fact, I have a special hat for doing this. Hang on a second.
Oh, I'm concerned now, Christos. What's going on?
I have no clue. I'm concerned.
So,
Dun, 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 dun. He's gone.
okay, so when doing XML custom policies in B2C, it's probably as close to like a dark art as you can get. And I can't do
So
it.
you're a wizard now.
I can't do it unless I have my my wizard's hat on. I have a staff too. You know, this is great for when you're doing like you go to talk to a customer and you say, I need to use the restroom, and you come back and look like this. It's already bad enough they let you in the building, and then anyway, it's a little.
But the problem is you're cutting off the top of your hat.
I know it's a little taller than normal. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's a me problem. This is gonna go south quickly, but anyway.
Okay.
So, okay. So in B2C, right? We in B2C, we have this thing, all this stuff called policies, user flows. They're ways that you can interact with the system. So, in fact, if you don't mind, I'm gonna share my screen for a minute.
Alrighty.
And we'll look at what custom policies look like. So, let's see. Let's get rid of this one. Let's go to this one. I got secrets on my screen, which I need to get rid of. Transition them over. Okay, cool. I have nobody to blame but myself. So, in B2C, we've got these things called custom policies, and
Make it bigger.
I'm making it bigger. It's getting there. Everything that we do in B2C ultimately boils down to these big blobs of XML, right? And while B2C does a lot of stuff out of the box, if you want to do anything ultra custom, or you have really specific requirements about how it looks or about how the users go through and do things, if you want to call your own APIs and stuff like that, in order to do that, you have to use what's called a custom policy. And a custom policy is a set of XML that has all the bits of data in it that you need in order for this to work. And so there are a ton of sample ones out there. This one's going to be published as a sample soon enough. There are a lot of samples. There are a lot of getting started things and a lot of different ways to do it. But I won't lie and say that it's particularly easy or intuitive to start. It can be a bit. It's a bit cumbersome, but it starts to make sense after a little while. You know, so it's not awful, but it's not the best thing you'll ever do. It certainly won't be the most fun thing that you do today, but it will be enlightening. So in our case,
Okay.
B2C has something called. Let me get my B2C portal up here. So B2C and Azure AD themselves have something called conditional access built in. And conditional access kind of means just that. It means that we can, with a set of rules, conditionally say, hey, this user needs to do MFA, or this user is coming from a country that we're not expecting, right? So I live in the US, and if my account was suddenly used from, say, Germany, something's not right about that. Either I've bought a VPN, which I don't know why anybody would VPN into Germany to get access to an internet service, but conditional access is all about setting up those rules. And so we can use these rules to say, in all of these different cases, how should we force somebody to go through MFA, or maybe even just block them entirely? So if I was to create a new one, and I don't know, I'll just call it MFA2, we create a new policy, we apply it to certain people. So you could do it to everybody, you could do it to certain people, you could apply it for certain groups, that sort of thing. I'll just choose certain users for the moment. And so let's do certain users, and then I'll do users and groups and choose a few of them. So the user I'll choose, let me choose one of my sample users. How about this guy, my Gmail account? So this policy only applies to this user. Now, if I was in a group, we could apply it to a group. You could apply it to people in certain roles, all sorts of different things. So, but I'm only going to apply it to my one account for now. And then we see cloud apps in action. So this could also only be for certain apps. So let's say I've got 10 apps, and 3 of those apps are just normal, read-only, do stuff kind of apps. But then we might say, well, this other app is super sensitive data. You can transfer a bunch of money, or you can change things about your tax return or your mortgage account, or whatever. Pick a reason. Certain apps are more secure than others, or you need that kind of security. So I'm going to come in here and look for Cloud City Cake, because this is the one that I created of your app. Then this is the only app that I want this policy to apply to. So now it's just when a certain user tries to sign into a certain app under certain conditions. So we have a location condition. So we could do things like, hey, if you try to sign in from an IP that we know, like from your office, we're going to skip IP. We might also say, have certain countries that are trusted. So we might say, oh, the United States is a trusted country for people to sign in from, so we're going to let that happen. I'll do any location for now. In fact, I'll just skip this one and not configure it. But then
Can I
there's
ask a question, JP?
Yeah.
With that one about IP addresses, is that something that you would have to log and put the IP address in Azure and set that as the IP address? Or is that something that I can go, remember me on this computer, and it will remember like my IP address of my house or something? Because I know when you do SQL, like you want to access your SQL database on Azure, you have to go and register your current IP address, and then all of that. Is it something like that?
It is. There are 2 different sort of concepts to that. One concept is just the physical sign-in location based on IP. So if somebody's signing in from a place and it's not a place we want people to sign in from, or it's a place where we absolutely want them to require MFA from, that's one bucket. The other bucket is something called sign-in risk. And sign-in risk is all about, well, you signed into the US and then 5 minutes later you signed in from Germany. So this second sign-in from Germany is a little bit suspicious, because unless you're Superman, you can't make it across the ocean that quickly. And not to mention, you'd sit in German customs for like 5 hours just trying to get in. Like, no, really, I promise I don't have COVID. Whatever you say, don't listen to it. So if because I can't go to the EU right now anyway. I don't think they let Americans in, do they? If I was to go, would they let me come in? But anyway, so that's sign-in risk, and sign-in risk is a bunch of different signals that determine that, to say, oh, this user signed in from this address before, this user has checked the keep me signed in button before. All those sorts of signals get processed, and then that's what determines sign-in risk. So we can also use sign-in risk as one of the toggles to say, force this user to MFA. So you can do that. It's just a little bit different. Trusted IPs are typically used as a way to say, this is my office, or I know people are always coming from these IP addresses, so you can skip it. Not so much for individuals, but more for like a whole place. And then the last one is just, what do you want to do? So if the user has met these things, do we want to grant access or do we want to not grant access? Do we want to block access or grant it? So you can kind of go either way. Either if these things happen, then completely stop them and don't let them in, or if these things do happen, let them in, but make sure you MFA them first. That sort of thing. And then, of course, you can also go through just reporting. So one of the big things is when you're setting these policies up, historically a lot of IT admins set them up for their own businesses, but if you're setting them up, you can also go through kind of a trial period and just see how many people will hit them and what will happen, so you know how much impact there is. So, and then here are our named locations, for example. So we can do named locations, we can do countries, IP ranges, whatever. And so conditional access itself, you can use that without having to go the custom policy route. So the things you already have that we've already created, you could go and configure those policies today. In fact, if you're working for a bigger company, for example, your admins could come in here and configure these policies, and you as the developer could consume them. So you can say, hey, conditional access, is my user compliant? Are they in good shape? And if they are, you let them through, and if they're not, then B2C handles making them MFA or do whatever. So out of the box,
so that's cool. You wouldn't need to change any code or do a redeploy to change all of the access policies. It's all handled in the portal.
That's right. Cool. So that's all handled here in the portal, which is cool. And it's independent of the app. So you're not building MFA into every one of your apps. Your apps don't have to know anything about MFA specifically, except for saying, oh, did this user MFA or not? And so I'm going to let them in. You don't have to have any of the code or plumbing yourself to know what an MFA cycle looks like. And so we can do that out of the box, but because we want to use Twilio as a provider, that's where we have to get into this custom policy bit, because out of the box we don't have support for Twilio in the base policy. So the Twilio component itself we're going to integrate that via a REST API. And in order to use a REST API, we need to use custom policy. So I hope you all like XML, because we're going to get into a time machine and we're going to go back and we're going to hand roll artisan XML, about 4,000 lines of it. I'm just kidding. We won't do all of them.
I was getting really worried then.
I'll send them all to you, so you can put them in. But no, most of the policies themselves are boilerplate. Like there's not a ton of the work that you have to do. Most of the work is done in the samples that we give you, and then you just make a few changes for whatever your specific things are. So if you're up for it, we'll do it. Well, I'll say we'll get as far as we can. We'll get as far as we can today, and then I'll publish up these policies, and everybody go take a look at them.
Okay.
Start using them in your project. So let me put your screen back up. Is there anything?
Right. Although that background was really fitting for your hat, you know.
It is. I need I need the.
It's in Croatia. You do. Yeah.
So.
All right. So we're going back to my screen.
So we're back on your screen.
And where are we going? The portal to.
So we got
my project.
Let's go to the B2C portal.
Alrighty. It is. I have it open in another desktop. Look at me. Go me. Organization.
And we have a few things we have to do to get ready to do custom policies. And then those are kind of one-time operations, and then we have, and then we'll do the policy stuff itself. So the first thing that we need to do is we have to register 2 new applications. So go to the app registrations blade or piece.
Oh no, I was there. App registrations. Yep.
Already there. Okay, cool. So the first thing we got to do is we have to register 2 apps. So make sure you got a notepad or something, because you're going to have a bunch of GUIDs that we have to wrangle.
Oh my god. I have one from Friday. Wait. I have it here. Okay, so this one is going to be app 1. What's this one going to be called, I know? This
one's going to be called Identity Experience Framework.
Oh my goodness. Identity Experience Framework. That doesn't sound like a holiday I want to go on.
Well, it isn't. Somebody said this looks like I'm about to fight a Balrog, and this is the Balrog. This is one of those things that it's like, you don't normally need it, but when you do need it and you want to do something super custom, it can be a bit of a bear. But it is time well spent, because at least then I can start sending money to Twilio instead of to Microsoft for all my MFAs. Okay, so we're going to call this one Identity Experience Framework. You can kind of call it whatever you want, but yeah. And then instead of accounts in any identity provider, instead we're going to do accounts in this organization only.
So this one. So for the previous one, we created this, didn't we? We did that.
Yep.
Are we still using that original one?
We are.
Or is this going to replace it?
No. So this is hooking up the plumbing in order for us to use our XML policies.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
All right, so we've got that.
And
Next.
then we do need a web redirect URI. So we can go ahead and add that one in here if you'd like. And it's not going to be for your app. It's going to be for a different one, which I will.
Oh, okay. So I don't need that then. Okay, what is it?
So it's HTTPS, whack whack, and then what did we name your directory? I forgot again. It might be under your if you look under your user bubble at the top, it'll tell us. Just hover over it. Don't click it. Layla stream?
Yes.
Okay, so let's use that. So that's laylastream.b2clogin.com. And then a / and laylastream.onmicrosoft.com. Okay.
Oh my goodness, there better be documentation for this.
There
one.
is. There's good.
Good.
There's good documentation on how to get started with custom policy, which we will we'll publish in the chat. You can leave that box checked and then go ahead and hit register.
Alrighty.
And now we need to add one scope to this app. So in the side menu, which I think if you hit the little hamburger, it'll show up. Well, not now, but before.
Yeah.
So where it says expose an API, we need to expose an API. So we can add a scope. You can keep that one, that's fine. Just save and continue. And now the scope name, just use user_impersonation.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, you can kind of call it whatever you want, but at least this way it's consistent with what you'll find in the docs or whatever.
And then the rest is the same?
Yep, the rest is the same for all of them. Yep, and then add a scope. And so two things we need to do while we're in here. Copy out that scope, and then we also want to copy that application ID that we created earlier from the overview screen.
So go back to here, back into here.
Yep, that application client ID. Yep, we need that.
Okay.
Okay. We've created our scope. So we're good on that one. So now we got to go create one more app registration, and then we'll have all of the sort of root pieces in place, all of the plumbing in place for these to work. So the second one is going to be called Proxy Identity Experience Framework. I told you it was going to be arcane, and it is a little. But once you do this one time, once you do it one time, you never have to do it again.
Until the next time.
Correct. Well, this is all per tenant. So once you've done this on one directory, you don't have to do it again on any other directories. You don't have to do it again within this directory. Okay, so this one is again accounts in this organization only. And instead of a web redirect URI, change that to public client. And then see how it says e.g. my app : whack whack auth? It's pretty much the same thing. You just want my app : whack whack auth.
Alrighty. Like so? Mm-hmm. Alrighty, leave that ticked.
And leave that checked, yep, and hit register. And now what we're going to do is give this app access to the other one that we just created, which we do via the API permissions part of the settings. Look in the hamburger menu.
Where's that? This one here.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
So this is under API permissions. And in here, we're going to add a permission. And if you look under My APIs, it should, other one we created should show up. And there's Identity Experience Framework. So click that one. We're going to check that user impersonation box and hit Add. And then that grant admin consent with the little check mark next to it, that button, we want to hit
I remember
that one.
doing this last week. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right, I think that's all. Is that all we need for this? Yeah, so one last thing is hit the hamburger menu and go back to overview, and we want to get this client ID too, this application.
Alrighty.
Yep.
So.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So we've got that one. Okay. Are you clipping your toenails or something, Christos? What is that noise?
How would I be clipping my toenails in my desk?
I don't know. I just heard this noise.
Aren't you
It sounded
flexible
like...
enough? Like, you know, I could get my foot up here on the desk and do that. You mean you can't?
Yeah,
I could do it right now if you want. You know.
If any
Not
one
today.
of us, if any one of us is going to do that, it would be able to do that. It would be you.
Yes.
I
All
don't
those
know.
years of Pilates.
I don't think my foot would make it up here. So, okay. So we've got our apps. We've got the app pieces that we need.
Alrighty.
So we're done with registering apps. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to go download what's called the starter pack, and I will send you a link to that.
All right.
And this is all that boilerplate XML that I was telling you about. All the stuff
Okay.
that is just sort of there by default. So let me send you this link, and you can use this link. It's on GitHub, and you can go.
Alrighty.
We can go download that.
And JP, can we take like a 2-minute break?
I think we should because it's top of the hour here. So.
And it seems like a good point to have a
Top
quick
of the
break.
hour. Let's
It
do
does.
this.
So, okay, well, yeah, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. I got to turn on a fan. This hat is much warmer than I expected. So. Okay, we'll be back in just a couple minutes, and we'll see you then. everybody, we're back. I know we hit the loop. Everybody's upset about the loop. It's like when the DVD video. It's like when the DVD thing hits the corner of the screen just right. So. He did.
So, her mom chooses the clothes, and then she goes, "I don't want them," and then there's kind of a fight.
It's okay.
And I go up there like, "Why are you guys fighting?" Like, "I don't want to wear these clothes." Like, "What do you want to wear?" And I give her the right clothes, and she's happy.
Just tell us you had a big hangnail you were trying to get off. We get it. We know.
So, Christos, apparently I am muted.
No, you're not. You're back now. Sorry, I had both of you were muted. It was an accident.
Well done. My t-shirt comes into play here. Dude, honestly, on the day that I wear the I'm immutable, you're muting us. That's
it was an accident.
New low.
I didn't want. I didn't.
Accident.
Yeah.
This is where air quotes are valuable.
Accident.
Our boss loves the accident. Sorry, the air quotes. He loves them.
Yeah, he's the king of inappropriate quote usage. So about 15 times a day.
Abuse, not use.
15 times a day we hear, "Hey, do you think we should put this in quotes?" I'm like, no. No, we absolutely shouldn't. Please don't put it in quotes. So
we should put a meme that says this does not mean what you think it means.
Okay, all right. So
I think it's on the stream, by the way, so we're doomed.
Yeah.
We've got a review this week. I don't think it's gonna go well.
Yeah. So that was fun. Merry Christmas, and hope you have fun looking for a new job. On a new channel from January 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah, you come watch us do this alone without any sort of corporate backing.
Or swag, or fun t-shirts.
The hair
I might let you come on my show, occasionally just to help you along, maybe.
Yeah, we'll get the pity shows out of it.
Yeah, pity shows.
Like everybody feels bad for us. We're just like the homeless casting around from show to show. trying to hawk our
every
wares.
morning show. We'll hit the TV with every morning show, just talking about the previous glorious days of the 4 to 5 show.
Hoda and Kathy Lee are like, what are these guys talking about? They just won't stop. But one of them's immutable and we can't turn them off. I don't know what to do. Okay. So.
God.
Okay.
Sorry. So apologies.
You needed a boom boom then. You needed a boom boom.
I know. I gotta get. I think I have an air horn, although I don't think you guys can hear it. I have a bunch of. I have a bunch of office space ones too, but I can't seem to make them work correctly. So, okay. All right. Back to work. Okay. So we got our. So you're at the repo, right? So we just need to download a zip of it.
All right. The whole repo?
Yeah, it's not that big.
Okay. Oh God, my mouse has gone really non-responsive. What have you done to it, Christos?
I'm only messing with sound because I'm immutable. Everything else is
amazingly. And
I don't do hardware.
Amazingly, and maybe they took this as a challenge. You can pack a lot of XML into a small zip file. So.
Okay.
Okay, so download the zip.
It's doing it. It's behind Christos's head.
Okay.
It's there.
Okay. Okay.
My big head, you mean, right? Because that's what
your
she said
huge
to me.
head. That's what I said earlier. Yeah.
That's the best comment anyone said to me all week. My big head.
Okay. So we've got our policies, and this is sort of the root of everything. Now, because we're using MFA, you'll notice there's a folder in there that's called Social and Local Accounts with MFA. And this is the folder that we need. So it's only 5 files, and 3 or 4 of the 5 of them are single-digit KB, so that's good. So let's copy these 5 files into a working directory or something somewhere. Always good to have the backup of the original ones, because inevitably when something goes sideways, which it always does when you're doing these, it's good to know what a known good one looks like.
especially when I'm around. Things go sideways. Me and identity, everything's going every which way possible. So,
Don't say that, Layla.
So
I tell you. All right. So I am a directory in the root, upper level. Where do you want this?
wherever you want to work. Some of the data, there won't be any sensitive data in there, so they can be wherever. And if you publish them in your repo, that's fine too.
All right. So if I add a new folder here, what should I call this? Like policies?
Sure. Identity policies, B2C policies, something that makes sense to you, so that when you look at it later, you'll say, "Oh, I remember that. I never want to do that again."
Unless I have JP, dictating what I should do in my ear, because this is why I keep saying, is there documentation in for this? Because
there is documentation. There's documentation on everything that we've just done in terms of getting started and all the setup stuff that we have to do. So, in fact, I will put that in. I will put it in the chat. Although my mouse just hung. Oh no! Come back! Don't green screen. Not today.
Don't move.
My camera's actually worked for a couple minutes, like almost 20.
Don't drink it.
I know. My computer can't hear me.
He will never learn.
It's not a Google machine. Okay.
B2C, what's this? I'm adding this to my links because I have a public Trello. You see, B2C policy start. You can my bot, the bot I shared with you, JP, has all Trello worked into it.
Oh,
so
cool.
you can have all of these added to your Trello board for people to go look at later. So copy and then add card. I need to get this in here, or else I'll never find it again. So there we go.
There's also a link in the doc. So
yes, but it's better when it's in here. This is my docs. This is Layla's personal docs.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Let's go. Okay.
All right. So let's get our files open. Now, one thing, if for any reason somebody ends up having to edit these on a regular basis, there's a really neat VS Code extension that does a lot of the work. Or not a lot of the work, but it helps you navigate them easier and stuff like that, so that's cool. But since we're in, we can do these in regular Visual Studio or in VS Code. It doesn't matter. Whichever one you prefer.
What would you prefer? What would you recommend? Do we want to use this extension? Do you want to plug the extension?
If you want to use the extension, yeah,
you can. Let's do it.
It does make it easier to navigate because you get Control-click and all the different things, and that makes it a lot easier to navigate around. So the whole premise of these policies are a bunch of XML, and there's also a big sort of inheritance map that goes along with them. So different policies can inherit from each other, which makes it a lot easier to do small bits of work without changing a huge, massive file. Because we have to, the more huge files that we have to change, even if it's just a small change, the harder it is to track. And so because we can inherit from each one of these, we can make our changes in a relatively small file and just iterate on that. And in that way, we're not really changing the base policies too significantly.
That's cool.
And I think it's just
What's
called...
the extension?
Just search for B2C. And it is that first one. Yep. Salesforce
Look at that.
B2C. Yeah, 5 stars. I know. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit of Stockholm syndrome, but it's impressive.
Oh dear.
Okay,
that's coming down.
It is an excellent extension. If you have to work with these on a regular basis, we would highly suggest that you use this, because I use it all the time. There's also some really neat debugging stuff we can do with things like App Insights. So B2C has an integration with App Insights, so you can see logs, which is just tremendously helpful when you're debugging these. And beyond that, the extension will pull them into VS Code, so you can see all the traces in VS Code directly from a recent login or whatever. Okay, cool. So let's go over to our identity policies. And I wish these were numbered. So the very first one is called base, that trust framework base. That's your first one. And this is the first one that this is the root of everything. And we have to make a quick change in here. So the quick change in here is at the very top. We see where it says tenant ID and it says your tenant.
Yep. So that's
Instead of-
Layla's stream.
So that's Layla's stream. And you'll notice it's also a little bit further down on line 9. It's the same thing.
I can't zoom in. Why can I not zoom in? There. It's a Control Plus on this one. Urgh. Okay. Okay, let's get rid of that. And right now, this one here, and we change that to Layla stream.
Yep.
What else?
That I think that's everything in this one. Do a find for your tenant. I think that's all we need to do in here.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So we're done with this file. Let's go to the next file. And the next one, typically the next one is Trust Framework Extensions. And we are going to have a couple changes we have to make in here. So base is the biggest, and it has all of the pieces necessary to make this work. And then extensions has a few extra changes in it. So we got to make 3 changes here. And we've got to go get some GUIDs.
Okay.
Okay, so if you scroll down a little bit, you see where we have, so we don't want Facebook, we don't really care about that. Scroll down a little bit more. This one right here in the middle, this local accounts one. So this is what drives a normal sign-in with a username and password. And so because we're doing just local accounts for the moment, this is the only thing we need to worry about. So remember those 2 app IDs that we copied earlier? We're going to need those here.
Alrighty, so let's go and they're gone. Where are they?
Uh-oh. Are they on your other desktop?
There. Phew.
So the first one we need is the Identity Experience Framework one.
This client ID. Good, yeah.
And then there'll be 2 places in that file that we need to change it, and they both say Identity Experience Framework App ID. So it's the second row of both of those. And just,
so where do I stick it?
Just swap out where it says default value is Identity Experience Framework App ID.
Oh, yes. Okay, that was rather obvious. Whoops.
No, it's okay. No, I'll tell you, nothing about this is going to be obvious at all. Now we need the proxy app ID.
Oh, whoops. Whoopsies. Let's go back here. This one. Oh, no. The whole thing, Layla. And back to here. And that goes there. And there. Okay.
Yep. Now, since we're not going to be using Facebook, we want to delete that block of Facebook stuff above you.
Good. Deleting it. Yay. Yep. Oh, God. It was whizzing around. Oh, my goodness. Oh, wait. Oh.
We want line 21 to line 32. There we go. Okay, good. Okay. So now we've got local sign-in hooked up. So what we've done at this point is we've configured local sign-up. So after all that work, we're at the point now where you are when you create a brand new B2C tenant and you want to sign users in. So now the next one is this sign up or sign in.xml. And this is a user flow. So the first 2, base and extensions, those are all about getting the plumbing hooked up. Anything beyond that is about customization. And so this one's for signing a user up, or signing a user in, or letting them sign up. So we got to make these same changes here, of putting Layla's stream in there. And if you scroll down, this is everything that's going to be returned to your app. So everything here in the output claims of display name, given name, blah, 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 all of those, this is a list of the claims that we're going to send back to the application. And so we're going to make some changes to this later on. We're not going to make a change right now because we don't have any extra data to send.
We did. We had phone number. We added that.
Yep. So we could include phone number here, but we're going to do it in a different way. So
okay, cool.
We don't have to do it right now. But so yeah, so those values that we created in the portal, those extension attributes or those user extensions, those are available in here too. So you can send those, but you can manage them and create them in the portal, which does make it a little bit easier than having to flow through a sea of XML. Okay, so now these 3 files, base, extensions, and sign up or sign in, these 3 are the bare minimum we need to get going. So let's go back to the B2C portal. And we're going to upload these files and test them to make sure that they work. A buddy of mine actually wrote a cool tool that does a lot of this work for you, but it's one of those things that the tool requires so much sort of underlying background knowledge that it's more difficult to get the tool working than... it's a great tool once you're doing it, but... Okay, so let's go back to the B2C sort of home or overview page. And in the side menu, we should see Identity Experience Framework. Yep. And here, so this is sort of your home base for policies. This is where we're going to upload our new ones and test them and do everything else. But the first thing we need to do is the last part of the one-time setup is we have to create 2 keys. So we do that in the side menu. And
is this going to dox me?
No. That's the advantage.
No? Okay.
These keys being in here means that those keys do not need to be in your policies themselves, and you won't see the keys when we create them. So, okay. So we want to create a new one. And I'll just put the name that you need to use in the chat, just so I don't have to dictate it to you. But it's token signing key container.
Which chat did you put that in? Token signing key. I've written it now. Written it.
Sign in. No, you're right. Signing, though, not singing. Oh, no, that is right. Token signing key container. Yep, okay. Choose RSA as the key type, and signature is what we want. And generate. So click create. And so now we've got one called token signing key container. And what that is
add
that's...
another.
Yep, we're going to create a second one.
Carry on. Yep.
The second one's called token encryption key container.
Yeah, but you were about to tell us what this one was, and that night was like, another one.
No, it's okay. I'll tell you what they are when we're done with them.
Okay. Token key encryption container, did you say?
Token encryption key container.
Oh my god, token encryption key container.
Yep, and it's an RSA key as well, and the usage in this case is encryption. So you can save that. So what these two are is these are the keys that B2C uses when it's creating a token. And so they're generated because we had chosen generate. They're generated and stored, and you never see the values, which is helpful. But they're used by B2C. So when B2C is creating a token to send to an app, like the user signed in or whatever, it uses these to generate that signature. So you can also bring your own. So if you've already got your own, you could always bring your own key if you wanted to use your own key. So, okay, so we're done here. So let's go back one level to Identity Experience Framework.
Oops.
That's okay. And we're going to upload our policies. We're going to upload our XML files and just see if they work.
Okay.
So over the top, we've got
custom
upload.
policy.
Yep. And we kind of have to upload them in order because they do inherit from each other. So we're going to start with the base one.
All right. We'll get there eventually.
Bald said, are these Docker containers? No, they're not.
So we want base.
Yep, we want base first. Yep, and we can upload that, and we will know fairly quickly if we made a problem, if we made an error somewhere, and we did. So that's cool. So let's go back to our code for a moment. Back to that base file. Sounds like my.
Oh God! Oh no! Stop! I have to go find the.
I think my 2-year-old has entered the basement.
I thought that was
I can hear him in the background.
Girls still killing each other over what they were going to wear or whatever.
No, they're in school right now, so they can't kill each other. And my camera has gone super blurry.
Oh my God, Christos is gone now. Oh, there he is. Okay, so
well,
we're looking.
I am, but I'm so blurry that feels like I'm going blind.
So let's go to base, and in base, let's just find Facebook. So the default is that we include Facebook because most people want to see how to do a social thing, but since we don't really want to do Facebook, like Facebook's like the Macbeth of social networks, since we don't want to do Facebook, we can't say its name. If you say its name, the whole thing's going to stop working.
You have to spit.
So we want to delete this claims provider. So starting at 507, and we want to.
Oh, whoops.
We want to get down to 549. Yeah, it looks about right. Let's make sure there's not another one in there before we delete all that. But I think will be okay.
We're good.
Yep, that's it. Okay. So by deleting that, now Facebook is no longer available as a sign-in. Now, there's one other thing we need to do while we're in here, and you'll notice there's still 6 other references to Facebook, according to your find. Well, at least to Face. So we want to take out that Facebook exchange. We're going to get rid of that on line 1114.
Do we just want that line or the block?
Just delete the whole line. And then let's check and see where the other ones are. So we can get rid of that one. Not that one. The one that was below that one. It looks like it deleted the line beneath that. Yeah, we want to delete 1130. Yep.
It was me trying to use like my home and end things, and it just went wrong.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. And then we've still got a couple more, and we'll just get rid of these. And what we're doing by getting rid of these is we are removing it as an option for sign-in. So in order to make something an option for sign-in, not only do you have to create the reference to it, but you also have to add it to a flow. So
your little one is really enjoying it.
yeah, he's so excited we're getting rid of Facebook. So okay, let's upload
Yay!
your
I'm excited.
let's upload let's upload your base file and see if we get any love this time.
We've not had a chair party today. We should have had a chair party when we got it to work.
What does that mean?
40 minutes. Chair party. Christos did one last week, and I haven't seen you do one yet, JP, because you didn't have a camera last week.
I think my camera's breaking again.
Yeah.
I will when we get closer. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Let's do our extensions. That one was cool. All right. Now let's do our sign up, sign in. And the other two, we didn't make any changes to them because we're not worried about profile editing or password reset right now. So let's go ahead and upload that one. And okay. So that one blew up. So let's go look. Let's look at that error message and see why it blew up first.
Don't read error messages. When are you going to learn this?
It's in the bell. It's in the notification bell.
Along with 12 other things. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So it says, so the alternative security ID is an input to user read, including alternative security ID, but it's not an output claim, and that's fine. So what we're saying here is that the alternative security ID is related to social accounts. And since we're not doing social, we're not going to have an alternative ID because the ID is your user account that you use to sign up.
Right.
And so it's saying that in step 6 of our sign up or sign in journey, that claim is essentially unavailable, and so it blows up because the Facebook ones were providing it before. So that's okay. So just copy alternative security ID, and let's go back to your policy, and we're going to look at step 6 and see. We're going to look at step 6 and figure out what's going on.
In this one.
In base.
Where are the steps? I didn't even see there were steps.
Yep. So there are steps, and they are part of what we call user journey. So you see these user journeys here. The journeys are the things that users go through when they sign up or do whatever. Sign up, change a password, all that sort of stuff. That's called. All of those are called user journeys, and you can have many of them and choose which one you want to use at different times. So ours is breaking, and so these happen step by step, right? So this is saying this is orchestration step, and it's 6th in order. And so what's happening is if we go up one before this,
okay,
to step 5, it's saying that step 5 is not producing us the alternative security ID that this bottom one is expecting. I think if we're in the right one, let's check to make sure we are in the correct one. So if you scroll up to the top of this user journey that these steps are a member of, we should see what the name of the user journey is, and this is sign up or sign in. Good, so we're at the right one. So let's go down a little ways, back to let's go to step 5. And scroll over just a little bit. You see where it says claims exchanges. Those claims exchanges, this is how data goes in and out of each one of these services. So
right.
So that's user read using object IDs. That's cool. So let's scroll down just a little bit more to step 6. And we'll go down a little bit, and your screen is now hard for me to see, so we'll give it a second. And then we have user right using alternative security ID. See what it says technical profile reference ID? On line 1188.
1180. Oh, I was looking too far. Yes,
Yep.
yes, here.
So the way these steps are is we have this concept of an exchange where claims go in, so just key value pairs go in, and key value pairs go out. And so with each one of these steps, we can choose this goes in and this comes out, this goes in, this comes out. What the state that we're in now is that since we don't have social, we're not going to be in a place where we have an alternate security ID. So if you hold control, you should be able to click on user right using alternative security ID because of that plugin. And it takes us there. Yeah. Which is nice. It's a lot easier than finding and searching all the time.
Yeah.
And so this says this is a technical profile for a social login. And it's got all the stuff that we need in here for alternative security IDs and blah, 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 blah. So it's saying that's what's going in, that input claim. So this thing is expecting this alternative ID, which is the ID you'd get from Facebook. Mm-hmm. And then the output, this one doesn't have outputs, and this view, they're a little bit lower. But the input is the alternative security ID. The output is a bunch of extra info about the user. So this is really a really convoluted, long way to say, I've given you a user's Facebook ID. Tell me if they exist in our directory or not. Tell me if they've signed up with that Facebook ID or not before, or that social ID. We actually don't really need this because we're not going to be, because we're not doing it. So we're not doing social right now. So let's go back to our user flow where we were before.
In this one?
No, it's still in base. It's like 11.
Still in base. Okay. 1188.
1188, something like that, yeah.
Okay, so we are. Oh no, not enough. Not far enough along. Order for 5 and 6.
Are we there? Have we made it?
We are.
Okay,
we made
cool.
it.
Okay, good. Okay, now let me get mine pulled up here, just to make sure I am giving you the exact correct thing to say. Let's see, alternative. Okay, so this we've got security, or you've got sign up, sign in, correct? That's the one that we're in.
Yes, this is sign up, sign in. Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this entire sign up, sign in block, so this entire user journey that you've got, which starts at line 1109. Yep. Take everything inside of this block of XML. So the user journey all the way to the closing user journey for this one.
Okay. Oh, why can't I collapse them?
You should be able to collapse them.
No, I can't. Oh, yes,
collapsed.
I can. If you hover.
Okay.
Hover. Look, I have to go over here and then look now.
Okay,
there.
cool. All right. Yeah, so let's
Done.
take
Much easier.
Don't cut it, copy it.
Oh, I just deleted it. I thought we were on a deletion roll.
No, sorry. No, we are kind of on a deletion, but that one we're gonna change that one.
I'll just Control Z that. Thank goodness for Control Z. There we go. Okay, copied.
So copy that, and let's go over to your sign up or sign in. And here, we're gonna move that. We're gonna move that in here because we're gonna be able to override it in here. So instead of us having to work in that big huge file, we can work in a much smaller, much more reasonably sized file. So in this file, above Trust Framework Policy, we need
Trust
to add
Framework
at the closing one.
This one above it, inside here. Yeah.
Yep. So in here we've got a new element called user journeys, plural.
User journeys.
Yep.
That's not plural of journeys.
Well, I mean, it's XML, right?
What? Excuse what? It's XML, so it's supposed to be grammatically incorrect.
Pretty much, right? Okay, so in here, we're going to paste that thing that you just copied. Well, it's like
not deleted.
what was it? Link to SQL or whatever always had the. It always had the like it would pluralize stuff for you, so you know, you'd end up with weird words with ys at the end. So, yeah, I agree that grammatically it's quite unsound, but whatever. Such as life.
Quite unsound.
Okay. So now we can edit and modify this policy in here because this is a later file. So because the IDs are the same, because it's sign up or sign in, this is actually gonna overwrite the one from earlier.
That makes sense.
Yep. So we have to make a few changes in here. So I'm gonna get mine pulled up here so we can make sure everything looks good. So it's local account sign in email exchange. That's all good. Step 2, and what that one's doing is saying, hey, let a user sign up with that. So this next one that's running is step 2, and step 2 is saying if a user signed in successfully, we don't want to do this. So you notice this one's called sign up with email. This is saying, hey, well, the user tried to sign in, but that email address doesn't exist, so let's sign them up instead. So that's cool. All right. So then number 3, the next one is social. And so this one is a user read using alternative security ID.
Wait. Oh, there. Right. Okay. I was like, I don't see social. It's in the comment.
I'm sorry.
I'm there now.
So this is our social thing. And since we're not doing social, we can actually just delete this one.
Okay. So what? We just get rid of that?
Yep. We'll just delete that one. Yep.
Yay. I get to delete something.
Yep. Okay. So now our next step, instead of 4, is now going to be 3, because now we've moved things around. Although this one is also related to social, so we can go ahead and boot that one out too.
Boom, gone.
Hang on just a sec. I get my policy up here. I told you I was going to give you a big thing to copy and paste, and I feel bad because I feel like I lied to you, but
Don't you do it to me?
I know I shouldn't have. Okay, so then step 3, we have step 3 right now. This is our user read with object ID, right?
User read, yes, there we go.
So that's step 3. So what's our next step?
It is user write.
Okay, so this is
4.
Yep. Okay, so this is user write. So this is what's happening is if the user did not exist and we decided to create them anyway, we want to write all that data about them. And the way that we skip that is you'll notice that precondition element. And the precondition is just a way to write a very simple Boolean with as many characters as possible by saying if this object ID claim exists. So we're saying if the claim exists, then we want you to skip this step, because if we've gotten an object ID, that means that essentially we managed to read you out of the directory correctly.
Right.
So it's kind of weird in the sense that we're kind of doing 2 things at one time, and that's where they tend to fall over. Okay. So then the next one we need after that, which one do we have next? So we've got
we have phone factor verify.
Yep. So this is our implementation of phone, which we're going to end up deleting, but don't delete it yet. We need to keep it for now, so don't delete it yet.
Okay. I haven't.
So
Fingers off the delete.
So we're going to keep this one for now, and then our next one is, I believe, our next step. This one is 6. Yep.
Yeah, and user write with object ID.
Yep. So this is a way for us to capture the phone number that we're going to use for what we call strong authentication, which is your MFA phone number. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what's our next step?
Send claims.
Okay, good.
And that.
So send claims. That is that's the last step in most cases. Is okay. We've got all these claims for different things. We've got all these key value pairs from different places. Now we need to actually send them to the app, and that's what send claims actually does on its own. Okay, so before we try to upload that, because it's still going to fail, give me just a second here to get the correct journey up. Make sure that we didn't miss anything. I thought I had these up, but apparently I did not. So I'm going to give you I'm going to give you one most likely that we'll end up make a couple changes with. So
Alrighty.
let me get it pulled up here. Let's see. Get this user journey here. And the other neat thing is there are a ton of different things we can do with these. So like all the UI changes and stuff that you might want to make, you can make all those in here too. So you want to use your background, or you want to include some JavaScript, or do whatever. All that work is done in here too.
Yeah. Oh, so you can make it pretty in here.
Oh yeah, you can make it pretty, and you can make it pretty in the other one too. But you get a lot more sort of flexibility with customization from here. Okay. So let's all right. Let's go back through your steps one more time. Make sure we just have all of the correct ones. So let's go back to the very first step that we have here in our journey. All right, and our first step is combine sign in and sign up.
And sign up.
Scroll over just a little bit so you can make sure that that all that looks good. Let's see, sign up or sign in. And it's self-asserted local account sign-in emails. That looks good. Okay.
Yes.
Let's go to step 2.
All right, that's claims exchange and local accounts sign up with logon email.
Okay, cool. That one looks good. All right, let's go to the next one, to number 3.
This is, I have to open it up. This is user read with object ID.
Okay, let's user read using object ID. So that looks good. Okay.
And step 4 is user write. When this one is user write using alternative security ID, but this is the one that's the skip.
Yep, so this is a social one that we're going to end up not using. So go ahead and delete step 4. Because we do not need it since we're not doing social. And if we wanted to do social later, we could always put it back and have different flows for different things. So, okay, now what's our next step? Step 4.
Okay, so this now is phone factor verify.
Okay, so this is our MFA stuff. Cool. Okay, and our next step after 4,
is user write with object ID.
Okay, and what's that technical profile reference ID? If we scroll over.
User write phone number using object ID.
Okay, cool. So that captures our phone number for MFA. So that's good. All right. And let's keep on going down. And then the next one is the next one send claims?
It is.
Cool. Okay.
Hey.
Let's try to upload this and see what we get.
All right. You've only
got 15 minutes, right? So.
I do. I have a .NET Foundation meeting.
Nice.
Yes.
You should bring them. They might want to come and do this instead.
No, they're sensible.
Tells us everything we need to know. Okay.
So but they aren't gluttons for punishment.
So let's try to upload sign in and make sure override is checked in case it's
whoopsies.
There's a problem.
Okay.
Yep. Make sure that's checked.
Didn't like it.
Okay.
It's trust framework policy in namespace and invalid.
Oh, we just have an extra thing that we don't need somewhere, which is fine. Do our XML troubleshooting. We probably are missing. We're missing a block somewhere. So let's see. Content definitions, claims providers, claims provider, and then user journeys. Okay, and then user journey. User journey. All those look good. Okay. And then at the bottom we have trust framework policy, right? Okay, that all looks good.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what was the error? That there was something missing somewhere?
It has invalid child element user journeys, so it doesn't like user journeys. So in here, so user journeys in, does it need to be, how do I format this? Is there a shortcut to format it? I
think it's Control ED. Well, at least that's what mine is. I don't know, yours might be different. I think Control Shift P and then format document should tell us what it is, right?
Shift P.
Format?
No.
Just search for format.
Oh, here, format. Okay.
Yeah.
Format document.
Oh, shit.
There is no formatter.
Oh, there's no formatter for XML. Well, that's
Let's get that in.
okay.
I just grabbed that top one. There we go.
God, it needs
what?
Java to do it.
What?
I don't think
Oh
you.
my
I don't think you
God.
need all that. No, I don't think you need all that.
No, cancel. I've done it. Uninstall.
What about
There,
XML?
uninstall.
Maybe XML tools.
It's got a big star next to it, so
Yeah,
let's try that one.
It's got 2.3 million downloads. So
Wowzers. But only 4 stars. Only
Well-
4 stars, not 5 stars.
only 4. I mean, I don't know, but that many
Only
people.
4.
I mean, not to mention, if you're stuck working with XML every day, then probably already kind of grumpy. I would be if I had to. So.
All right, we formatted the document.
Okay, good. Okay. So let's see. We've got our relying party, and we've got our user journeys. And if we scroll up some, is there anything else maybe that we added in this file that we shouldn't have, that we missed?
No, we didn't.
Try moving your user journeys above your relying party. Maybe that's all it is. It may just be order of processing. So
Alrighty.
save that and let's go take a look.
Let's go. We can do this.
I
need to get a chair party out of YouTube. It's my mission.
Okay, and then check the box. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, we've got an extra step in there. That's okay. We can get rid of that. So it says we have
Has
2.
Step 3 with 2 claims.
So it says step
Okay.
3, and then it also says looks like we got something extra in there. So let's go look. Okay, step 4 looks good. Step 5 looks good. Step 3 looks okay. We don't have anything extra. Did you copy that from the bottom, or it's not still at the bottom, right? We don't have a copy of it.
No, I cut it.
Okay.
I'm sure.
Okay. Just
I
making
did.
sure.
I cut it.
Okay.
I did. No, it's a good catch if it was, because I cut it and pasted it.
Okay, well, let's do this. Let's go back to base, and we will just we'll just hide the other one in base, since we did make quite a few changes to it. So that user journey here, 1109 to whatever, you can just delete it or comment it out, whichever. It doesn't really matter. Okay.
It's gone. It's gone.
Now we have to make sure we upload. We have to make sure we upload base first. Now. Oh. And,
Okay, let's do it.
Yep.
And the other one, extensions. Okay, so we go base,
Yep.
do upload
Yep. And now we'll do our sign in.
extension.
I don't think you have to do
Oh,
extensions. We didn't make any changes, so it should be fine.
Okay.
So let's change that one. Okay, that's cool. So claim type identity provider is not. Oh, that's fine. We can go fix that. So let's go back to sign up, sign in.
Yep.
And in the relying party, there's a claim reference in there called identity provider. We can just delete that. 98. Because we're not going to be getting these users from any external identity right now, so we don't need to worry about
Okay.
sending that over. Okay, save that one. Let's upload it again.
Oh, I was going here. To back here. And okay.
Fingers crossed. Just a green checkbox. Oh my god, it worked. Okay, I'll do it now.
Yay!
I feel like that. There was a GIF of a kid who was doing that. It was a great GIF. I
Like
wish
a
I could find it.
baby.
Well, it's not like a
A
baby.
baby dancing. It was a baby dance, and it's creepy as. Yeah, it's creepy as all creepiness.
Okay. So cool. So our policy's uploaded, which means that in theory we should be able to sign in with them. So if you scroll down, you'll see your policies listed there at the very bottom. And
Yep.
if we click on sign up or sign in, we should be able to run them. So if you scroll down a little bit.
They were on Blazor. Did you see? They were
Yeah.
Blazor. Don't I need to set that?
Yeah, you can set that. It doesn't, for the purposes of right now, it doesn't really matter because we just want to run it
Okay.
and make sure it doesn't error as soon as we open the page. So, okay, so that's cool. So try to sign in and let's go see if we get a token. Oh, it says the password is bad. It still says your password is bad.
Huh.
No, that's okay. This is a pretty common thing that happens. People get hung up on this a lot. So we can go and we should be able to go and fix this. So let's go take a look. So let's go back to our, while you're here in the portal, go back to your app registration, to the list of them. And let's look at the proxy IEF application. And if you hit the little side menu thing and go to authentication and scroll down near the bottom and see where that says allow public client flows, change that to yes, and then save it. So the whole thing of these two plumbing apps and how they work together, when you type in your username and password, essentially that username and password gets sent back to Azure AD using what's called a password grant. You don't typically see password grants used that much because they're not very secure by virtue of the fact that you're sending a user's username and password back to some other system. Of course, in this case, since it's all sort of happening under the hood and making B2C work, that's why it uses that. But in order for that to work, that public client checkbox needs to be there so that the right flow gets used. So let's go try to sign in again. Now that you've saved
we're going. Where do we? I'll just go back.
Okay.
Back.
So that's in Identity Experience Framework in the side menu.
Oh God, I've just really gone back now. La 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 la. And then we want app registrations.
Oh no, we're good. We're good with these. We fixed it.
Oh, okay. Oh, where am I going?
Now we go. No, it's okay. Go back to B2C, and then we're going to go to Identity Experience Framework, which is in that left menu.
Yes. I was going to the app registration called that. That's
Yep. And then at the bottom,
down here.
Yep.
Go.
Let's try to sign in.
Run.
And now, hopefully, our sign in will work correctly. Still, it might take it a minute. That's okay. So we'll just let it. So we'll let it sit here and marinate for a minute. If you want, let's sign up with another account, and I'll give you an account to use.
All right.
So we can see if our sign up's going to work at least.
I can do one here. Plus.
Okay.
ID. That'll do.
Oh,
look there! Look, I bet you that's the problem. Look.
What?
Layla has her caps lock on.
Oh, you had caps lock on?
I did.
Oh. Oh, wait. And there's an S at the end of your email address.
Oh, yeah, there we go. It's all going terribly wrong now.
Okay, good. Cool. Okay, no, this is good. So because we don't have your phone number yet, in what we call the strong auth number, this is now going to ask you for your phone number. So
okay.
You don't have to use yours. If you want, I'll give you one to use. If you want to use
Go
mine.
on then.
Okay, 980-207-2561. And then I will give you the code.
Boom.
Okay. That's my Google Voice number, so at least they just get
Okay.
essentially go into a black hole, so I'll use them for stuff like this. It's 082 579. Okay. And now, not only now because even though your account existed, because we added that flow, now we've also captured that extra phone number. So now we have what's called the strong authentication phone number, and that's stored in a little bit of a different place than where we stored the phone number historically. And it also required us to go through that verification step where we verify that that's our number, right? So it's cool. So now we've got your account, and your account has been registered with your account's been registered as with a phone number. And even though the account existed, because we've added that, we had to go ahead and capture the phone number, so we've got it. So now the second half of that is we want to use Twilio Verify, but we only have 3 minutes. So I have a bunch of XML to make this part, to make the verify part work, which either we can do after you've gone, we'll do for the last hour of our show today, and then we'll publish it so it's all there. Or you can, of course, always come back anytime, and we'll do the last bit.
What are you doing on
It's
Friday?
up
I'm
to
just kidding.
you.
I mean, we got another show. We got another show tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god!
We do
just
have
want to
another
make it
show
a permanent
tomorrow.
Fixture, don't you?
Yeah, we do have another show tomorrow. Why don't you talk about that, Christos? What are we doing tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're kicking off the Identity Crisis, our new show on MS Learn. That is
wowzers.
about getting started with identity, but it's a lot more one-on-one kind of content. And we're going to visit all the things that we don't discuss here, because here we tend to be a lot more hands-on and building things, assuming that the audience has some kind of a pre-established foundation on identity. Tomorrow we're starting with the very, very basics, like what is identity, what is authentication, what is a token. Yeah, it's not a social identity crisis, it's just identity crisis.
Yeah.
But for the masses. There you go.
Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that'll be cool.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you. I could do some of my stream on Friday and then raid you and appear on you if you
Yes.
wanted.
Yeah.
Haha.
What time's your show on
If
Friday?
I start about 2:30 GMT, so and you start 4 for me, so it'd be like
Oh.
2 hours,
Okay.
Yeah.
and then I can come in and magically appear if you fancied that.
That's awesome.
Um,
I love it.
If you want to finish the last bit on Friday.
Yeah, let's do that.
The only
Yeah?
thing I need to do is check to make sure that we don't have anybody else coming on the show on Friday.
That's probably a good idea. But that's okay.
Just give me a
It could
very
be a
quick
proper
second.
party.
I'm checking the...
They don't need.
Yeah, we have Danny Martins from the Cloud Soul team coming on.
Oh no.
But no, it's fine because he's not gonna take the full 2 hours. So we might get him to come at 9, and then you can be for the first hour, and then he can join us for the second half.
Well, if that works, we can do that. JP,
Well, let's do
can we
that.
do this
Yeah.
in an hour? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
you
this-
heard it.
this
JP
part-
says we can do it in an hour.
The next part is actually the easiest part. Getting there is the hard part. It's just like you have to you just have all of this like yak shaving you have to do to get to this point, and then the rest of it, the changes that you have to make are relatively small. It's just it takes a long time to get here. So now that we're here, now the fun work becomes the next part. Yeah.
Yak saving, says Chicken Man. It's not yak saving.
I mean, I don't know how.
It's totally yak shaving.
course
We
it
just
is.
we just shaved about 7 yaks.
Yeah, I'm up to my.
But you only have to
elbows.
do it once. Now it's set up. You don't have to ever go and
But does
save any
anybody?
yaks.
But you never shave the same yak twice.
True.
You just find new yaks to shave. I think is the point that we're at now.
God.
I'm
Alright.
getting confused here.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Well, then we will see you back on Friday, and then and Christos. I guess we'll take a short break, and then we will figure out
Yeah.
what we're doing for the rest of the afternoon, and then.
I mean, if you want to do it, you can carry on, but
Oh, no.
it would be without Layla.
No,
No.
there won't be a show without Layla.
it wouldn't
No,
be. Yeah,
no.
it wouldn't be a show worth watching anyway. So.
True.
I'm sorry. Sorry, that was a cackle. Well, I want to say thank you so much for having me on again, and third time's the charm.
That's right. We'll get there. We'll get there eventually. So, okay, everybody. Well, hey, we're going to take a quick break. Go hang out with Layla, and we will be back in just a couple minutes.
Yeah. Thank you.
we're back and we're down by a third. But that's okay. Okay, so one of the things that that Layla mentioned when we first started looking at her app, it had ASP.NET Identity baked into it, and when we first started talking to her about it, we said, "Oh, well, let's figure out if we want to completely punt on ASP.NET Identity, or do we want to try to make this work with ASP.NET Identity?" And I think what we actually came down to was, well, let's make it work with identity. So if you're already using a user database, or you've already got ASP.NET Identity, and you want to keep that, but you want to make Azure AD or B2C part of it, which is super valid in stuff like transitions or migrations. Like if you were thinking about using B2C, but you want to, you can't just up and move all your users immediately, you may want to migrate between the two. So the first thing that we had done before that was the first thing that we looked at was, well, how do we make this work with ASP.NET Identity instead of having to completely blow everything up and completely removing ASP.NET Identity. And so that was the first thing that we did. So let's run this app. This is a different branch of the same thing. Of course, all this is up on GitHub, so we'll make sure that's available for everybody. Yep. So we'll do a .NET run here and hope that everything still builds from the other day. Ooh, my fans are spinning up. This must be a lot of work. Oh, okay. So there we go. Sounds running. So let me get my browser up here, and we've got our app. Oh no, you're muted. I know. I'm sorry.
How many times do I have to show the T-shirt?
I know. I'm sorry. It's like I can't help it. I'm built in.
It's the only time that we decided to do, like, we're doing a stream and you've been completely muting me consistently. I don't know what's happening.
I know.
I think it's intentional.
I don't know what's happening.
Do you guys?
It's so close to vacation. I'm just, I'm running dry. Okay, so here's our app. It's running. We're not logged in, so let's hit login. Now you'll notice when we hit login earlier on the other version of the app, we went directly to B2C, do not pass go sort of thing, right? So if we had an email address and a password, which we would have if we were already a user, that's cool. But we also have this use another service to log in. And that is coming from ASP.NET Identity. So ASP.NET Identity will go and enumerate all the different providers that are configured. And because we've configured this provider, we can use it. So let's click it and let's see where it takes us. This should take us over to B2C.
Should use a more imaginative name rather than OpenID Connect, but it's fine.
I know. It's for illustration. It's for illustrative purposes only.
Don't be like us, people. Use proper naming.
Okay, so now I'm over at my B2C, right? So let me go ahead and I'll go ahead and sign in.
Yep.
And I get signed into the app here. Yes. And then we should go back, and everything should just sort of work, right? So everything about it is still the same. Now I've added the claims here so we can go look at what those claims look like. We don't have the MFA thing turned on yet, which we're going to get to. But the claims are all here. So we still see, we still have my username and my email address. We still have all these different, bits of data about the user, right? Now that's because I had already signed up for this app before. So let's log out, right? And let's log in again. And this time I'm going to register for a new account. Although I did not do a full sign out, so I need to do a full sign out, but I'll just do a private window, whatever. So let's go to localhost 5001. And we're going to log in, and this is I'm going to use OpenID Connect for an account that I have never used for this before.
Yep.
So let's just let me see. What account do I have that I have not used in here yet? Let me pull one up.
I think you may need to create a new one.
Let's see. I guess we could go and create a new one, huh? Well, let's try to create a new one. Let's try to create a new account. So this one I'll call BC2 at mailinator.com, which is nice because it's just a free service. Give it a password. And let's make sure, I hope my creations are still working.
So you remove the need to verify the email, right?
No, I see. Yeah, see, I blew up my policies trying to make them work the other way. So until I fix them, I've got to use an account. I've got to use an account I've already got. Let me just find one I've already got. Let's try. Let's try. I'll use this guy.
I like the Brutus one.
Brutus. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
that's actually an ADFS user, amazingly enough.
Ah.
Now let's see if I remember the password.
Brute forcing its way into your tenant.
Yeah. Now I have a sample on-prem app called Brutus, because that's what it is. It's a brute. So, okay. I don't know if I.
Remember the password.
I did forget my password. So let's do. I don't have a forgot password policy set up in this tab. I swear. I should have known better. Let me go reset. Let me go reset my password, and then I guess I could also just clear out our user database, which might at this point be faster.
Yes.
I'll go do it. Let's go do a password reset. We'll just test it with some app. It doesn't really matter which one, to be perfectly honest. Let's see. Test app. Run. Okay. Here's my email address, and then let's go to mailinator.com. I have no idea the validity of this service either. So like I have no idea if this service is like remotely safe or like, you know. But my buddy uses it, so I was like, I guess whatever, I'll use it too. Why not? It is helpful. So where was my password reset button? Oh, right here. Let's get our verification code in. Verify. Cool. Change my password.
Bolt.io says 10-minute email is also good when websites block Mailinator.
Oh, yeah, that is a good one. Okay.
I didn't realize that websites were blocking Mailinator. I guess it makes sense because they might want to spam you for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed where some of them have done that to me. So they'll say, "Oh no, sorry, you can't use that one because it's see 424597, 424597. Verify. Continue. And then we'll give it a password here. Now, if it tells me this is a password I've already used, then I'm really in trouble. Okay, good. So I'm in. So we'll use this account. So let's get back over to this app, and we're going to sign in with my new password that I just changed. And now when we get back to ASP.NET Identity, something's still broken. What happened? I thought I thought everything was good, but maybe not. Maybe my logins are all broken, and it's going to be a short rest of our afternoon. All right. We got this here. We got this here. Okay, sign up, sign in. All that looks good. Yeah, let's get signed in. Oh yeah, something is definitely wrong with my tenant. So we may actually not be we may not be doing this for the rest of the afternoon. I'm not sure. There's one thing I can try to make sure.
Well, we can go back into the code and show them the code and explain what we had to do and how we did it, and then
yeah, that's true.
Call it a day.
All right, one more time.
And you have to take your word, our word, that it's working.
That's right. That's right. You take our. We promise. We promise it's working. There it is. Okay. So now it's saying, hey, you've got to associate your OpenID account. So it's called OpenID Connect because that's the name of the provider. But now it wants an email address, and that's.
So right now we've just logged in with B2C, right? But the application is expecting an account locally on our identity database, and that's the reason why you have to create or provide an email, correct?
Right. So the application itself is configured with this identity with this user object. Yep. The application itself is configured with this, and so we've signed in somewhere else, and that sign in worked. But now the app doesn't know who we are. So the app's like, well, that's cool that you signed in, but I don't have any database record for you, right?
Right.
And so that's why it's saying, hey, now you need to go and register. So by clicking register, now I've got an account. Now I've got an account at this specific site, right?
Bolt.io is asking, can you not take the email directly from the token?
You can, but I don't believe I passed the email. I don't actually believe I saved an email address for this user. I only have a username. I don't think I've been sending the emails claim over. But so this way, now what we've done is we've ended up in a spot where we've taken the B2C user and a record of the B2C user, and we've added them to the ASP.NET security database. So now they're in the security database, the identity database, membership database, whatever you want to call it. And now we can store extra data about them. We kind of do whatever else we needed to within the context or the confines of a normal ASP.NET identity. The big difference is instead of storing a password, we're letting something else do the password side. So as a way to get away from using passwords, if you still need to use ASP.NET Identity because your app is super dependent on it or whatever, you can still do that. It's just that the password itself is all saved in an upstream provider. So you can kind of think
it's a more secure solution, right?
Oh, for sure. It's much better than holding the database on your own. And then those claims are all stored in the database. So if I open up, what's it called? Azure Data Studio? Is that the new SQL thing? Yeah, so in this case, and that's right, Chicken Man. So yeah, essentially we're pushing out, we are pushing authentication somewhere else. But it's purely authentication. There's no authorization data or anything that's coming in that the app is depending on. The app just needs to know who we are. So let's look at our Cloud City Cake Co. This is our thing. And if we look in this database, this has all the hallmarks or all the symptoms of an ASP.NET identity database. We've got ASP.NET.
Yeah, don't forget to zoom in, right?
ASP.NET user claims, ASP.NET user logins. We've got all these different tables that have all these things in it. So let me get a query up here. I wonder if I've still got another window of this somewhere because a bunch of extra stuff in here. So let's just select top 1000 out of our Cloud City Cake Co. So this is our user logins table, and all we have really is the provider themselves. So if it was named Facebook, it would be Facebook. If it was named Twitter, it'd be Twitter, right? So, and then there's a provider key, and the provider key is your user ID over in the other system. So my user ID for the 3 users I have are these 3 GUIDs. Now this is great for you because now you're not storing any sensitive user data, and you're certainly not storing their password. And then there's a map. So this mapping over here goes back to whatever their database local user ID is. So if you've got a bunch of data in your database for what a user can do and that sort of thing, all that's still here, and it's all keyed off of this ID. So you can kind of think of it as a sort of an abstraction away from the fact that you're using this external provider. It's all still here. It's just that instead of just being able to use their username and password to sign in, if you show up from a trusted provider with a set of claims that say, hey, this is user BC650D37, ASP.NET Identity is going to look at that and say, oh, I know who this user is. That's user ID 3. So let's go look at our users table. And the users, this is the extra data that we're capturing. So we've got the username, we've got the normalized username, the email, and the normalized email address. But then things like password hash, those are empty because we're not storing a password for these users, right? So, and then there's some other data, but a lot of this is all about features that you don't necessarily need in ASP.NET Identity, like two-factor enabled and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
So
Robert Tables is asking, so you can migrate a bespoke authorization rules engine because you can still use your existing rules?
Yep, you sure can.
Yep.
Because at this point, all we're doing is delegating purely the who is the user part of this. What the user can do, what they have access to, what kind of operations they can do, all that is driven by your application, right? All that's driven by you and your rules. None of that's driven by B2C at this point or by any external identity system. So you can think of this as being purely a way to authenticate a user somewhere else, and then your app's going to take over. It's going to handle everything for. It's going to handle everything that you've written that's keyed off of a user's ID. It's almost like a mapping.
Yep.
It's a mapping table to say user 123 in my database is user ABC in B2C.
B2C.
And user 456 in Facebook. And user 789 in Twitter. And so all these tables come along. Everything that's got ASP.NET prepended here, those all come along with that. So like your roles and all the sort of roles and things you might have, all those would still apply. And they can still be applied to these users the same way that you would apply them to a user who used a username and password. That's a lot of use in that sentence.
Quick question. If I sign in via B2C and I have already had an account with the local database, do I need to make sure that I use the correct email so the mapping goes correctly? Or is that going...
Well, so the email address itself largely doesn't matter because in this other table, this is keyed off of your user's object ID.
Right.
So the user object ID is really the primary key here. So even if you change your email address, you're still user ID 3 and your provider key will never change unless you were to delete your account. So if you deleted your account in B2C, your object ID would change. And of course, this is what we always this is what we've always advised is if you're using an external identity system, even if you're not, email address is not a primary key. Email address is not a good thing to use for uniquely identifying a user because email addresses change, phone numbers change. All those sorts of things about a user like that, they can all change. And so using a generated ID that you can guarantee is always the same, that's what you want to use in your database for linking a user externally to a user inside of your database. Okay, so let's go look at how we make this work. So you remember in her code we deleted a lot of stuff, right? In this code we actually added a bunch of stuff. The big one that we had to add in this case was instead of configuring everything using identity.web, instead we configured this using out-of-the-box ASP.NET Identity stuff. So this has nothing really to do with B2C, except for that B2C is the external identity provider. The external identity provider could be anything that does OpenID or OAuth here. It just happens to be B2C because Christos and I happen to be a little bit partial to Azure AD and B2C. I don't know why.
Just a little bit.
Just a little. So we spend a lot of time in there, so that's what we're using. But OpenID Connect is a standard. So this could be Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Okta, Auth0, all the other identity providers that are out there. And so we just provide some info. Identity.web is doing most of this work for us under the hood, but there are a few things that we have to change, which is why we have to do this ourselves. So we have some configuration data here, mostly the same stuff you see in the settings, the client ID, the secret, the authority, all the stuff that we need in the settings file anyway to make this work. And your identity provider provides this for you. So none of these should really be, these are all available. We're doing a couple extra things that are B2C specific. And so here we're giving it a list of valid issuers. So these are the issuers in the token. So who created this token that we want to consider valid? And B2C potentially has 2, which is why this has 2 here. Azure AD has 1. There are lots of different ones out there, but this one is really for making sure that we cover both of them so that either one of these issuers our application will consider valid. And it's really just my B2C login / my tenant ID v2 or potentially with a policy ID in there, right? So this is just a sort of a specific thing around B2C that we have to do. Next, we want to use code, so we're not using implicit flow.
Can you zoom in a little bit?
Yep. And then there's one extra thing that we're doing, and this is this, we want to force B2C to give us an access token, so we're adding to the scope on the way out. So we're just adding a dummy scope out here, which is why it's called so dumb. We're just adding a dummy scope, so before the user gets redirected out, we're going to tack this scope onto the end of the scopes that we're requesting access tokens for. And the reason for that is just in sort of an oddity in how B2C returns those responses, and that it'll send a response, but it'll say access token, and the access token will actually be empty, which causes identity to blow up and say, yeah, you got to send me an empty one. The last thing we're doing is primarily visual. So we're saying the name claim, so the thing that, like when you do user.identity.name, we're saying the data for that is coming out of a claim called display name. So in our response from B2C, we're getting back something that says a claim called display name. The name claim type is a way to signal to ASP.NET Authentication or ASP.NET Identity that, hey, when I want to, the thing that's called the user's name is coming out of this.
Yep.
Most of this configuration you don't normally have to do if you're not trying to integrate this with ASP.NET Identity, but we are, which is why we're doing it. Yep. So as we keep on rolling, most of this code is still the same as what she had before, just to make her app work. The app database for EF, the SendGrid, Twilio, and Verify stuff, the database for user stuff, her authorization policy still here, all that's still the same. And for the most part, everything else from here on down is still pretty much the same. And then down here, of course, it all is still the same too. Now, the thing that we noticed is that she had all those extra pages for
identity.
Well,
sign in, signing up, managing passwords and what have you.
Yep. So she had in this identity areas, right? So this had all the pages for things like login and login with two-factor and log out, and all this can be scaffolded with with .NET CLI or with Visual Studio. So you can scaffold all this all day long. I tried to scaffold it in Visual Studio and it didn't work. Visual Studio just fell over and said, "Oh, scaffolding, I don't know how to do that," and it stopped working. Apparently, that's a known issue, which I was like, okay. I mean, in the docs, the docs have pictures of this interface that shows how you can scaffold stuff. And I'm like, that's really cool. I wish you could show me how you got there, because I can never actually get it to go there myself. But whatever. I don't want to be, I'm not bitter about that at all. So anyway, the thing that...
Just a little bit.
So the thing that we noticed, however, was that she did not have an external login CSHTML page. And the external login CSHTML page is the page that handles all of the processing of those external logins. So here's what I'll show you. I'll try to add a new, let's see, what's it called? A new scaffolded item? Add new scaffolded item. Oh, nope, sorry. And you go search for that, and there are 8 billion hits, and none of them work. They're like, oh, just uninstall Visual Studio, and then delete this one file deep in the bowels of your program data folder, and then do a repair. And it's like, I don't really feel like cycling 19 gigs of data through my internet connection right now. So anyway, so we had to do the scaffolding from the command line, but we end up with these 2 extra pages, external login.cshhtml and external login and a code behind for it. Let me zoom this one down just a little bit. And these are all scaffolded. So I'm not making, I didn't make this code. This is all just generated code.
Correct.
So things like provider display name, all that sort of stuff, that's all coming from the thing. In fact, I imagine we could probably go change our display name and start up, and it would change it. It would change it over here. In fact, now I'm a little curious. Hang on. Hold, please. Is there a display name here? No. There's somewhere you can do it. I don't really know where. It doesn't matter. Whatever. I could have sworn I saw it somewhere, but whatever. So external login.cshhtml, that's the thing that gives us our login page with the username and password on one side and the OpenID Connect button on the other. So this is all driven by ASP.NET Identity. We didn't write any of this code specifically to make this happen, and we click it and it makes things happen, right? So we had to scaffold these 2 out, and we didn't make any changes on this page. What we did make changes to was the code behind for that one. So the code behind for, not login partial, the code behind for, let's see, external login.cshhtml. So most of this code comes out of the box when you scaffold it out. So it's got things like sign-in managers and user managers, and it's anonymous, so you can get to it, blah, 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 blah. All that looks fine. None of that really requires a whole lot of change. The reason we were prompted for email is because that's the only thing that's here on our input model.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing we have. You can put whatever you want to here. And in fact, if you're already using this, you may have a whole list of hundreds of different properties you're already storing about a user. So the big ones that matter though for us are on the callback. Excuse me. So this on get callback async, this is the thing that is handling figuring out who the user tried, like where the user tried to go, what thing they tried to do, like what provider they tried to use, and then making sure they get redirected to the right place, right? So I've gone over to Azure AD B2C, I've signed in, I come back, I got all this data, right? Claims data and whatever. That's what get external login info async does. So when you call this get external login info async method on sign-in manager, that goes and looks at all of the different things you've signed into and figures out what all that data looks like so that we can start to do something with it, right? So we go and we get the external login info. Simple checks for whether or not that's null. And then we actually sign the user in. So that's what our external login sign-in async is doing, right? So this is taking the data out of the HTTP context, so all the claims data and whatever that came along with it. It's pretty much taking everything that we got out of the get external login info async. It's taking all of that, and it's including the login provider, the provider key, which is my my user ID, whether or not this data is going to be persistent, and if we're going to bypass two-factor, and we are. If this succeeds, now we have, quote, sign the user in, right? So the next thing we have to do is now we got to find that user in our database, right? So because this succeeded, that means that we know who this user is, and so we're going to find them. So we find them by their login. We go and get their claims, and this is where it starts to get a little sticky.
Yeah, we spent a little bit of time on this one.
So if you just add claims, so if you just use add claims async, you'll end up with the same claims. Add claims is just that. It adds claims. It does not care if the keys exist. And they get persisted to the database. So every single time a user logs in, all of their claims are going to get persisted to the database with add claims async. Which meant that every time I signed in when I was working on this, my page scroll bar started getting smaller and smaller as the page continued to grow. And I was like, why is it storing all my claims? And that's just one of the things about ASP.NET Identity, I guess, is that it stores all those claims. Now, I saw a really neat article from someone who managed to do this without storing them, but it requires writing your own authentication handlers, and it was like, that just feels like a whole it feels like a whole lot of extra work.
Yes.
I mean, maybe it's not a whole lot of extra work, but it just feels like a whole lot of smoke and mirrors just to do something simple like don't duplicate my claims. So the first thing I do is go get the user's claims. We go find any claims that exist in both. So that's all this Lambda is doing, is just finding claims that we got with claims that the user has in our database. And then it removes the old ones. Because all of our claims, for what we're doing, all of our claims are ephemeral.
Yep.
The time that your token expires is ephemeral. It's for the purposes of that session. Your email address, all that sort of stuff can change even. So I don't want to necessarily store it. I just need to know what it is right now. For the session that you're in, I need to know what your latest email address is that you gave B2C. I don't care about what your email address history has been. I only care about what your email address is now so that I can send you something. Or if I need to send you something, then I can store it in my own database separately and say, hey, give me your email address, and I'll save it independently of whatever might come in from the claims. So that's all this is doing. We're removing the existing claims that both are already in the database and already came in for the user, and then we're adding a bunch. We're adding all the ones we got for the user after we delete them. And then we're calling sign-in, and a sign-in is sort of the last step. Sign-in is a way to say, okay, I know who my user is. We've captured all the information that we need to. Now we need to sign them in, which essentially means now I need you to issue an application cookie. So at this point, the app cookie is written back to the response. So the user's signed in, and they have a cookie, and that cookie is what gets used for subsequent requests. So every time I refresh the page, every time I click a link, that cookie is what's being used. I'm not going back to B2C on every one of those to renew my authentication, right?
And this last line, 103, actually tells your application that the user has signed in. So if you request for the user in the context, this is what you get back. If you don't do this line, if you don't write this line, then your application is going to be oblivious about the fact that you've already signed in and went through the process. So that's the last step.
Yep. So once you've done this, a principal's created, the session info is stored in a cookie, the cookie is emitted. You now can use things like user.isEnroll or user.identity.name or user.getClaims. You can now use that all throughout the rest of your application.
Yep.
So this was probably the biggest part of the whole thing, was just making sure that this is the primary interop. This method is the primary method for interacting between the fact that we have this external login and that we have B2C as the identity provider. This is the thing that really handles the marriage of those two together, while preserving all of the existing ASP.NET Identity stuff. If we scroll down a little further, this is where we get into, okay, I couldn't find the user who signed in, so I need to show them a registration page.
Yep.
So the registration page that we just saw when I signed in a minute ago, that's where this came from. And the reason is because if this sign-in worked, which is the thing that looks up your, essentially looks up your provider key in the database, if this sign-in failed, then that means I don't exist in this database, so I'm a new user. So go ahead and sign me up as a new user and get me hooked up. So this is the primary, this is the meat, right? This is the thing that matters when it comes to marrying the two together.
Yeah, so we have what? We have 10 lines of code, of configuration code for OpenID Connect in the startup.cs. And then about 20 lines of code here to marry the two.
Yep.
So we can have ASP.NET Identity and B2C, and providing the single user object that your application is aware of and you can work with.
Yep.
And people are asking whether we're going to put this code on GitHub. I think it's already on GitHub, and they're asking whether there's going to be a blog post. I did say that JP has been volunteered to write a blog post for us.
Yeah, I'll make sure I get to this one along with the other 14 that I have pending. Now, this
That's a lie. You did a blog post last week. Come on, man.
That's did.
I'm just taking unneeded jobs.
So this code is out there. It's in it's in my fork of Layla's code, and it's in the 2FA identity enabled branch. So I'll put this here in the chat so we can get to it. This is the same app that we've been working on with her. Only this is the ASP.NET Identity version.
Yep.
So this one preserves ASP.NET Identity. There's another one called Removing Identity, which is much closer to what we've been doing with her over the past 2 days. So this code's out there. Feel free to go take a look. Again, the most important parts are the essentially external login and startup. So external login in the identity area, and startup.cs for configuration. Those are really these are the main places you want to work. And then this method is on get callback async, so it's line 72. And of course, you can scaffold this code out yourself. The external login stuff you can scaffold out with
CLI.
The .NET CLI. And so if you want to see the difference between what we're doing and what it does by default, just to really see the delta between the two, it's fairly straightforward to get there. So that was there's one extra thing which is in here which we did not talk about, which is the two-factor thing. So what she was doing two-factor with, she was doing two-factor on the admin controller. And actually I have this in a different branch. Hang on a sec. So you'll notice we've got this has strong auth policy here, right? And this is an authorization policy. So I've created this authorization policy in the startup. And
show us the money.
And all it's doing is requiring a claim called authentication methods used that has a value of MFA. Now this is coming from B2C, right?
Yep.
So her business rules were you can't access the admin controller unless you've done multi-factor at your identity provider, right? That was what her business rule was. And so in doing the B2C conditional access stuff, there's actually a claim that comes out called authentication methods used. That's the one I'm using. There are other ways to do it. You could consolidate that and have more rules to say, well, this method's valid, but this method is not, or whatever. You can consolidate and change, do whatever you need to do. but for the purposes of today and just for the purposes of keeping it relatively straightforward and not deviating too much from the sample stuff, I'm using authentication methods used and looking for an MFA claim. So that means that if we were to run this, I won't have the MFA claim. At least I shouldn't. And thus,
You will not be able to access admin.
and so I won't be able to access admin. So let's do a .NET run here. Close some of these other... Oh, this is a private window, so that's a good place to be. I'll just close it. Okay, so now our app is running. And you'll notice it says admin is not enabled because I don't have the policy to do it. And if I try to go there, it's just going to tell me access denied. Because I don't meet the requirements for that, right? So let's get
What was the
signed
issue that we had there? Were we missing the page, the access denied?
Yeah, that was the whole. That was all the Razor Pages stuff. All the Razor Pages problems we were having. So let's go turn on our conditional access policies. I actually turned them off because I didn't want to blow up my Twilio account. So I'm going to go turn it back on though. So let's see, specific users. Is this the right user? Yep, it's my Gmail. Let's turn this back on. So this policy is now on, and we'll save this. So now let's go back and try to sign in to her app, and I will use my Gmail account. So I've signed up, or I've gone to her app and I've tried to sign in. And now it says, oh, you need a Twilio verify SMS code. All right, so let me get my messages here. Please don't open in my main window. Good, thank you. That code is 989222. So we'll hit verify. B2C is handling all this for me. I'm not doing it on my own. And you'll notice that now we can get to admin.
Nice.
So now we've met that 2FA policy, and now we're allowed to get to the admin page by virtue of the fact that we have that extra claim, and that extra claim was done by the policies. Which this is the output that we intend to have by the time we're done with Layla on Friday. Or is it Friday? Yeah, Friday. God, I don't even know what day it is anymore. So. Yeah.
Someone's asking, can I use Authy or only SMS? If you're going to use SMS, you don't have to use a third-party provider. B2C can do that for you out of the box. But if you want to use Authy as a third-party verification for 2FA, if I remember correctly, you can do that as well. Is that right, JP?
Yeah. So Authy, we have a set of policies already for Authy.
Oh, nice.
So you can just, there's still the custom policies, the things we were looking at earlier today, so you can still use them. Oh no, not verify. Although, I kind of got the feeling that verify was sort of becoming the new, de facto standard over at Twilio. Not that I have no inside baseball in any of this, but yeah, here's the sample. Here's a set of samples for using Authy. I'm using SMS because I'm using Twilio Verify, not using Authy. I'm using Verify, which are two different products. But you can, of course, use Authy. The harder part with Authy is that instead of capturing a user's phone number at sign up, instead they have to capture a QR code, like they scan a QR code that B2C shows, and you have to go through device registration. That was sort of how Layla explained it to us, was that by using Verify, we don't have to go through that extra step of registering a user's device. So that's why we're using SMS. But yeah, and the other thing to note too, you can do conditional access with MFA with completely out of the box, none of the XML stuff that we had to look at today. Like if I have a user flow in here, which is one that you just create in the portal, if I have one of these in here, if we want to enable multi-factor, it's a matter of checking
a few clicks.
Right.
Yep.
So this one is SMS or phone call or an email. And so you can do these without getting into all the custom stuff we did today.
Yeah, a lot simpler, and works out of the box. And yeah, we just wanted to make sure that people are aware that you can use third-party providers as well.
Yep. And then the question too on Authenticator, the Authenticator app, which is one of the most common questions that we get. Again, that's something you can do through a custom policy today. and it uses TOTP. So it's just like a Google Authenticator or anything like that. So that's available today, and there's a sample policy for using that. Let's see, B2C TOTP. There are sample policies for that. I've been told and I've heard that there's always a possibility of Authenticator app coming. I have yet to see it. Here we go. Sign in with Authenticator. And this uses TOTP with Authenticator. So it's still not a push notification, however. So, but I've heard I've heard lots of discussion on it. I just don't know what the current status is. So we will be happy to check and find out before Friday. But yeah, having push notifications for B2C would be I'd be a big fan of that. So yeah. Cool. So that's it for today. Tomorrow we will be on Learn TV at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. We will co-stream that here to the 425 channel as well, the 425 show channel as well. So you can watch it here. You can watch it on Learn TV. We'll be talking a lot more about sort of, I don't want to call it the theory, but we'll talk more about flows, and we'll talk about tokens and getting like what the basics are, what's authentication, what's authorization, what are different tokens, all sorts of stuff like that. Less about writing code and being super hands-on, and more about trying to understand concepts and things, so that anyone who's really interested in that has a place to go and learn more about it. So we're gonna do that tomorrow. In the interim, we'll be back on Friday with Layla. Feel free to send us emails. We're at 425show at Microsoft.com. You can send us your stories, and we'll send you some swag. And by stories, we mean tell us what kind of stuff you're working on, challenges you had, things you really liked, things you didn't really like. And we will be we'll be happy to use what you've got. And
send you some swag.
Send you some swag. And big shout out to our new teammate Hannah, who does all of that for us and make sure the swag actually gets out the door and orders it and does all sorts of stuff to actually keep the show running. So we'll be back on Tuesday. Let's find somebody. Let's see who we're gonna go raid. I don't know. Is anybody coming up after us?
Not that I know of.
Who's on right now? We got InstaFluff. No,
none of our friends are around.
Oh, well, I guess we can just also end. I guess it's too bad, but. I'm not sure who's up after us today, but I'm sure it'll be interesting. So, anyway, we're going to get out of here. Feel free to send us a note, drop us a note on Twitter, or send us an email.
White Panther apparently is on. Chicken Man says.
All right.
White Panther. I don't think we follow him. Can we actually raid somebody that we don't follow?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
As long as it's not horribly offensive, which is fine.
Yes, please. Let's keep it civil.
Yeah. All right.
And safe for work.
What is White Panther working on today? Let's see.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. JavaScript stuff. All right. Let's go hang out with White Panther and see what's going on.
Thanks everyone for sticking around.
Yeah,
we appreciate.
We'll be back tomorrow. Come and join the Discord and keep the conversation going. And we're gonna do a raid and get out of here. We'll start raiding with. Looks like we got about I don't know 65 people we can go over there with. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, awesome.
Cool. All right, everybody. Get all my buttons clicked, and we're going to get out of here. We will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Indeed. Bye.